Thank you. All the best, Frankie.
You'll find me in the clubs and bars, designer clothes and flashy cars, the brasserie in or in more, sexy women, gangster galore, robotic dancers, all rich chances, slender thighs, but the beady eyes are all on me. I take more than I give, but that's how I live. A ladies' man, I'm kind of a hit. My money ain't mine, I skip from the top. It's fun time, I ain't looking for love. Yeah, I've been here, yeah, I've been there, and it's been around me. I'm fun time.
Frankie walks good, he talks good, looks good, makes love good, gets good and smells good. Why can't he just choose me?
I'm fun time.
Frankie.
Right, okay, I'm known by the cops. I don't shout it a lot, say this is from trouble, but trouble is here.
Okay, welcome to podcast number 35, and we're on my 34th album, and it's The Doors' self-titled debut album, The Doors, and we've got Andy this week, and
Evening.
Tommy. How you doing, guys?
Fantastic. Good to be
Andy,
here.
Andy, I'm going to let you lead tonight because I think I've got a slight delay because I've got every single internet device that can be used in my house is getting used tonight, so...
Keep going the mate. You're good to know.
All right, that's good. Great album tonight. Brilliant album tonight. That's got a chance of getting into our top 10, I've got to say. It's already number 37 in the Pop Vortex top 100 albums of all time, so that's the kind of class we're in here. It's a debut album for one of the most popular bands of all time. It's got one of the most famous songs of all time in it. And we've got one of Scotland's... what am I going to say? Sorry.
I'll give you
Yeah,
one.
I interrupt me, Andy, while I was in my flow there. When you go, no bother. Aye, go for it.
One other fact.
Yeah.
Also the first ever band to have a billboard advertising album.
Who gives a fuck? We'll come to that. I was in a flow there, man, and you've interrupted me by telling me something you're going to repeat about fucking in 15-20 minutes.
Nah. Couldn't get that other one in there anywhere else.
So we're guest tonight hails from Patna, of all places. Mm-hmm. So he's Patna's biggest rock star. He's been all over the world, and he now resides in Glasgow, but the kind of west side of Glasgow. I'll let you introduce where he's from. But it is the Ronains' main man, or the only man in the Ronains. It's Jim Reid.
Make it big.
Well, I was going to make it big.
Yeah. Partner's number one rock star. That's big.
I like that.
That is big.
I did like that. So I did. Thank you.
But
light here.
It's all right. So you're still in Patna, the new in your hut, I see.
I'm at. This is the conservatory in Patna.
Oh,
so
all right. Yeah.
Just a wee bit of peak today, but we're getting there.
Doonbank Crescent.
Doonbank Crescent.
The famous Doonbank Crescent. Great album this week, my man, to bring on, and it's great to have you on as well.
Thank you.
I know you are very busy with what's happening with the band at the moment.
Yeah.
And where are the Ronains at the moment? What's happening with the Ronains right now?
So, man, just before lockdown, all the usual stuff. We've got some big stuff to reveal, and just before lockdown, we were that away, and then we couldn't do it, you know. So that's the thing with bands, isn't it? With a band, you kind of, and it just fucking goes like that. But anyway. We just got the sponsorship with Dragon Soup extended again to December 2022. So is that just like
lentil soup, or is it different?
No, it's different. It's different than lentil soup. 7%. I need to get you some.
Hi.
I need to get you some.
And Andy's a fan of his. Andy's a drinks connoisseur. Have you ever tried the dragon soup, Andy?
I have, aye. The band that shall not be named was also sponsored by Dragon Soups and Cases Mouse.
Did you,
guys,
right?
man.
Aye.
Yeah. No,
That's right, man.
no.
But don't say, Andy, don't say Gads are watching.
Sorry, Dragon Soup.
If they want to
Mind you saying that, is saying that though, I've not tried the new one, the ESQ.
Nice, man.
Oh.
Nice. Right, I'll get you
So-
a ball.
I will. I'm going to. I'll try some. You had a wee dragon soup, Tommy?
I have indeed, yes.
Ooh. Oh, right, you're for Saltcoats though, aren't you? So that's good.
That's that then.
Stevenson. Aye, Stevenson. Have that with your Greg's.
Greg's in a dragon soup, ready to start on Monday. Yes, I have had said alcoholic beverage and enjoyed it. Actually, my daughter had left it in the fridge one day. I'm like, what's this? Red cola. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, it goes down rather well.
Good.
Brilliant.
Good.
That's a great sponsorship to have, because she's had a wee advert that was on the telly and all that. So you've had that kind of exposure. How has your socials went since? So for bands watching, what kind of exposure on like kind of console telly, if you like? I mean, what does that? I mean, that's millions are watching that. So how's that helped the band?
Aye, well, that's the thing. I mean, it was all over the UK. So our Facebook, other lockdown, our socials have grew. Our Facebook's kind of nearly 17,000, which is brilliant. But it's like the Spotify. I personally hate Spotify. I don't have it on my phone. So we need to kind of work in that. You know what I mean? I've been neglecting Spotify, and it's like I've noticed a new band will pop up and they'll get 10,000 Spotify followers, and they've not been in the scene a year, but they're automatically judged as a better band than you. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because of Spotify. So I didn't really kind of grasp it was going that way. That Spotify likes are better than talent, but I'm trying to grasp that stage and not neglect it anymore. So that's just the way it can.
I know that's how folk get. I can guarantee you, when folk are looking at festivals and that's the first thing they're going to is bands' socials to see.
It definitely is.
When we did it, we'll come to the Pelikan 4 in a minute, but when we did the Pelikan 4, we're looking at songs that are, some of them haven't even had 1,000 plays on Spotify or anything, but there's some cracking music there. Tommy, you'll know yourself with the amount of tunes you play.
Definitely. Brilliant stuff out there. Stuff to dig down.
Andy, you get anything for Jim? Anything you want to know about the Ronains or Tommy?
No, I mean, just going on to the Spotify hit again, it's something that possibly I think every band needs to up. Do you know what I mean? It's such a big part of things now, and it's just such a given that everybody's got Spotify, and it's easy, accessible platform for everybody to go to listen to music. But the problem is, you can't just release your music in Spotify now. You know, like we've had this discussion with Scott that you need to go into the playlist, you need to go into this, that, and the next thing. But that needs to be done even before you release your songs. Do you know what I mean? You need to have all that pre-registered, pre-done, you know, and it's an absolute minefield. It's something that I'm looking into just now, you know, from a marketing perspective.
It's a lot of investment for very little return.
Definitely, Tommy.
Aye, definitely, aye.
And I don't want to sound cynical or anything like that, but some of these people who are there and they've got hundreds of thousands of plays and likes and whatever, it just means their garage hasn't got loads of records on it like it used to happen. It used to be in the past that if your record was getting to number one, your record company had went and bought thousands of it and put it in a storage room somewhere. I believe that's still happening. That some of these playlists and stuff like that, you don't get in them for nothing. You don't get into the big ones. So there's a lot of that still going on, and as you say, there's other really talented people out there who's trying to build things organically and are getting kind of killed, stepping on the rush, you know, with all the other stuff over the top of it. But hopefully it'll get better, you know. But it's one of the kind of things you need to date now, because that's that's where everybody goes. Because I mean, as
that's
we're stuck here in lockdown, we can't go to the shops and buy physical records and CDs and stuff like that. We get them on Amazon. And Amazon, and if we only go on Amazon to get it because we've listened to it on Spotify, and it's one of the things, but it's just a lot of people don't want to pay for music anymore, and they know that if they go to Spotify, they get the tune and they listen to it, and they don't actually have to own it or pay any money for it either. So it's like it's nature of the beast. It's not just music; it's everything. Everybody wants everything.
It's a £10 subscription, and you've got everything for
everything.
Anything you want.
I think it's Spotify is great for the listener, but it's horrible for the musician. Do you know what I mean?
Indeed.
But I mean, our Spotify, after you were talking about the Dragon Soup, obviously they've got 160, 200,000 people on their social, so they've been promoting their name. It has grew. It's just like the millions. You get a million, like $3,000 for a million streams and all that. But again, it's all about building your name first, really, isn't it? Before the money goes in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think you just have to go and play your music and love your music and just be in it for the love of it. And if it gets somewhere, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You know, you've just got to love it, and then it'll be. Then it will be better. Talking about that, so when lockdown finishes, have you got a tune ready to go out? Right here, we're back.
Aye, well, we're got a tune ready to come out just soon. It's our own version of Flower of Scotland. And
I've seen that. Yeah.
Aye, so we're recording that. We're recording that. It's already just for the football coming up. The way Scotland's going, the political thing, whatever you're into. We've got a world champion boxer. So I think it's time to come out. I think it'll do quite well. We've got different ideas now how to maybe help it get in the charts and stuff. So that and then after that, Scott, we'll Love Drugs on the door. We're going to do a different route. We're going to go down a wee bit a mainstream route. Do you know what I mean? We've got some different ideas. Good. See how it goes.
Good stuff. Okay then, so we'll go into the Pelikan 4 and we'll talk to Jim later about the Ronains, but we'll go into the Pelikan 4, which is 4, we'll each pick a track for an unsigned or a song we like, a band we've heard, and we get a wee punt. But before we do that, we'll just go through some of the comments. Stephen McLean's watching tonight for Long Day 11. Good evening guys, how are we all doing? Yeah, definitely. Stephen is going to be on very soon. He's going to bring us Alana Anderson, she's watching again tonight, so hi Alana. And Debbie Ronains, she's watching tonight as well. Debbie was on doing Reverend and the Makers State of Things. That was her album. That was a good one. Paul Weir, Jim Posh, lol. So Paul says you're no posh, Jim.
A conservatory.
Whoa, only one in Dunbank with double glazing windows, mate. You know what I mean? Let's get it right here. Let's get it
only
right.
One in, never mind double glazing windies. Just to say, I'm Domelit and Jim's partner, so we'll not do anything. We'll not play that game tonight.
We'll play that game tonight. Fucking the rivals on.
We've got Craig Anderson again. He's watching. So hi, Craig. And we've got Jim Reid as well, big music fan. Alana's made a suggestion. I think when you get to the 50th podcast, you should do unsigned albums to get more folk into music. Yeah, we are planning and doing. What were we saying, Andy? Like maybe day 1 every 4 or something. Do an unsigned.
We're talking about taking 10 different songs, aren't we? We're not talking about like a full album from an unsigned act, but taking 10 different unsigned songs.
We can do that.
Different acts and going through them.
Yeah,
good idea.
That sounds good. Bob Williamson's on tonight. Bob's bed you, so I think he must be talking to.
I'll be talking to me.
Alana. No, I'll be talking to Alana probably.
Was it?
Aye.
Another former guest, great musician, Stuart Bryden. His album Nevermind still in the top 5. So hi, Stuart. Charlie Stratton is on tonight. Good evening, lads. Hi, Charlie.
Charlie.
Andy's all feather. No, all feather. Wouldn't say all feather.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
He could probably take. He could probably take the forays on no bother. and still no spill his drink. Well, saying that, I have seen you chucking your feather about Andy in a video.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's
Aye.
because you let him.
Aye, he was letting me. Aye.
Andy said sorry. You cracked him with a grin. You said sorry to your fair got and went, it's all right, it's all right. Brilliant.
I thought he'd actually broke his ribs that night.
Robert Farrell's watching as well. Evening, guys. Paul Weir again, and
Yes.
hello from Baltimore. Andrew and I are both watching. Is that Rose?
Fucking don't mention it.
How do you pronounce that?
Baltimore, Roisin Fallon. Baltimore.
Roisin.
When we tour America, that family puts us up. You know, we stay in their basement and stuff, so they're brilliant. Big music fans.
How does Debbie get on in a house with hoops?
Oh, fucking I know, man. Jeez, I just don't want no. I'm not into football. That's a shite league anyway.
Oh, I came with your support. You're definitely not into football. And Bob Ellison, Charlie looks younger than you, Andy.
I would agree. Aye.
At the moment, probably. Aye.
I'd agree.
Right, Andy, you take the lead here. We'll go through the Pelican 4. Go for it, my man.
Oh, I don't. I've just seen an airline there. Andy's dad is more mobile than him. Davey, you're a big bastard. Right, aye. So Pelican 4 this week, some cracking tunes in it. I was actually quite surprised with Scott. He's got back to his roots with his old bit of trance, you know.
Oh yeah.
And Tommy's cracking tune, and I'm going to start with Jim. So, Jim, if you want to talk us through your tune and give us a wee bit about it, that'd be cracking.
Well, over the past, been involved in music over the years, I've helped a couple of younger artists, like Scarlett Randall, and I helped an artist called Claire Docherty who signed to Las Vegas's management not so long ago. So this next one was Maya Brown. We've been helping her. This is our debut single. We recorded it with Gordy Gowdy of Simple Minds, and I think it's pretty cool. Do you know what I mean? So it's called Your Name, and I think you'll enjoy it.
Right, we're just going to play this. I need to play it off Spotify, so I do apologise to everybody just
No
now.
problem.
I'll just put this up.
Cautious. You call me pretty and I'm feeling nauseous. I'll start to pull away like I do from everyone. Tell me you're not afraid to become mine. There's something in the way. Tell me that you'll stay. I'm looking for danger, not with the stranger. So kiss my pain away. You're my 44, but I'll stay with you till hell freezes over and I don't know your name. Oh, oh, I'll say I'm happy, now you're comfortable. I know it's sad, but now I feel for you, for you, for you. You start to pull away like you do from everything.
Great stuff.
Brilliant, really good, cracking voice. You know, just really. It's different. You know, there's not. I would say there's not much. You know, the female vocalists are out there just now. It's different from a lot of the other ones. You know what I mean? Slightly different. I like it.
She's got a bit of an 80s twang to her voice.
She's great singer. When we first heard her, me and Lindsay went to watch her. She was playing at the garage, and I thought she was really, really good. I had this other young artist called Claire Docherty. She was quite kind of punky, a lot of balls, and it was I loved her and I loved Maya as well. So I would check her out. She's got a lot to come, you know. Just the lockdown, fucking the lockdown for a year when things start to get rolling, and it's just tough, man.
Yeah.
For everybody, not just for yous, for us.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah, I think I've seen her doing a couple of live stuff on her own page. She's got quite a powerful voice. She kind of uses her
She does.
voice in her songs as well, which is pretty cool. She's just got a guitar. You know, how a lot of folk just sing. You know, which is fair enough. But she because she's got the guitar, she'll use the voice to kind of light and shade the song. So really good, really clever. And she's only young, so she's only going to get better and better. Tommy, you played much of Maya?
I have not. This is the first time hearing the track. Well, obviously I heard it before I came onto the show. I had a good listen to it. I'm liking that.
Good.
Obviously, Jim, get it to me. We'll get it on the show for sure. No, I think there's going to be a big push coming with female artists. There's a lot more money getting put in, I think, towards female artists at the moment. It's to address the gender imbalance has been for years, and it seems to be the end thing. So it's great to hear more girls being there and playing their instruments, and writing their own songs. So it's great to hear, and I really like that one.
Brilliant.
If MD Night wants to check it out, there's a link in the comments. All right, so check
Nice
it
one,
out.
man.
Get on Spotify and get a listen. All right, crank tune.
Class.
Right, Tommy. Come
Yes, Sienne from Liverpool released a 6-track EP. I think it's a couple of weeks ago now, 2 weeks ago, because they're in the same stable as La Club Royale. Alice is looking after them, so I got a wee chat with them when I heard the track for the first time from Lyle. So fantastic 6-track EP. So highly recommend it. This one that we're going to hear tonight is the title track. And play it, Andy.
Oh, am I playing it?
Oh, I thought.
Strange, we are going our own way. We look above for the answers we already know. We're dreaming of a good tomorrow. We're dreaming like it's not today. 'Cause we all have the dreams that we're striving to see, just the memories that fade. We all look to the same sky up high. Sometimes it's best to not know why.
Yeah, what do you think of that, Jim?
Liked it, really liked it, so I did. Where did you say they were from, Tommy?
For Liverpool.
Wow, man. How did you first hear of them? You played them in the show?
I played them on the show. It was through Alice at Timeless that looks after. She used to look after the Ranzas, but now looking after La Club Royale. That Lyle and Connor have brought a new track out. I think it was last week they brought their track out. So I think she's got a couple of artists. So she keeps sending me stuff, and really good. Really good. Hopefully they're going to come up here after lockdown and maybe get a couple of gigs up this way with Lyle and Connor. So aye.
Really enjoyed it. It'd be great to meet them as well.
They're all brilliant. Really, really good.
Great. Need to go and see them live as well. Let me know if they're ever coming up.
I seen Lyle sharing that, and I seen they were for the same kind of stable, if you like.
Yep.
And I had a listen to a couple of tunes in the EP. It's quite. I'm trying to think who was it they sound like again. They've definitely got that kind of modern kind of thing, you know, and it's the same as La Club Royale as well. That they're using a lot of electronics in their music, which is fine.
Good, I like it. Really like it.
Andy's telling me to sit back a bit. I think my mic's
Put your chest a wee bit, Scott. Put your chest out
a wee bit loud. It's just I get so close to the mic.
You know, it's like a
big enough
anyway. What do you want? Me or you, Scott? He's our tails, mate.
I'll go then. So I went for a dance DJ producer for air this week. It's Jason Currie. I've seen Jason playing for, I think I got him to play at Pressfest one year after the bands at the Buff, and it was really good. He's such a nice guy to go on. I mean, I've just followed his journey. He did a cracking live gig at the top of the Carrick Hills with a drone. A drone was doing the camera work on it. It was cool as anything. And he's right into his DJing. The tune that I picked is he does it with Richard Pryde, and there's another guy he does it with.
Darkrider.
Aye. So check Jason out. It's Jason Currie. And I don't know the kind of food, like, I don't know who he's involved with and all that kind of stuff. I know that he is tutored by James Allen from Public Domain. Right. So James is like a massive DJ and producer as well, really good in the dance world, well known. And Jason's kind of under his wing and learning his craft there. And this is his tune. This is one of the tunes it's on. So for all you dancey ones, here we go. Be a wee bit of trance.
Love trance. Always loved it.
See, the thing is, they do what we all do. See, when we get Garage Band or Logic or anything like that, we're trying to make a dance track, but they do it. But they do it right.
Really good.
It is, isn't it? It's trancey. It's like.
Oh.
The dance. Everybody loves that. Like midnight. Fucking, aye, we all love that. So anyway, that was Jason Currie. Good luck to you, Jason. Andy, you?
Well, firstly, can I just apologise because Jason, I think, turned off these notifications on his Facebook, so we couldn't tag him in because every time we tagged it, it just disappeared. So you can actually take like notifications off if somebody tags you some.
Cool.
So I've popped a link to his other socials though. For his DJ stuff, so it's there anyway, but just so he doesn't feel left out, just want to give him a quick shout. Again, I just went into the Scottish new release this week on Spotify, great channel, by the way, and it does, I must admit, it does promote a lot of kind of the kind of smaller Scottish bands as well, so I'll give him his dues that way. I came across this band called the Retro Video Club. I'd heard of them before.
I've heard of them as well, yeah.
Aye, they've been going for a while.
I hadn't really heard.
Edinburgh band, did they know, Andy?
I think so. I don't really know much about them, but they've just released a new song called Checkmate, and it's phenomenal. I really
that disappeared for a while, Andy. I think they were doing other projects, and then they came back as a Retro Video Club. This is the latest one coming out. That's what happened with them.
Have you been sent it yet, Tommy?
No, I don't have it yet, but I will have it before the end of the week, that's for sure.
I mean, cracking track, and I'll put a link in the YouTube. All right, here we go. Here's Retro Video Club and Checkmate.
When you find the remnants of your maze, baby gaze, waved up, checkmate. Remember nights at 18 when talk was so cheap and fighting was all you'd see. He lied and said he loved you, 'cause everybody wants now a reminiscence of an high school phase and down the textbook pages. I've seen you like a ran for riches, not at all.
Good man. That's just Bozo Indie, innit?
That's
Love the
brilliant.
video,
The video was dead simple, but really well done. Do you know what
Really
I mean?
good.
And it's just brilliant. You know, I loved it.
I was going to say about videos, videos are amazing. See some of the videos folk are putting out.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes, but
do you, Jim, see when you're doing videos with the Ronains, do you leave it to the videographer, or do you put your own kind of spin on it? I want it to be like this, I want it to be like that.
we write up the first draft, what's in the mind, and then we send it to us. We have been using the same company for particular films for all our videos, and I'm going to continue using them. So we write it up, send it to them, and then Joe works with, he's like he's on River City, he's a producer on there and everything, and they start to just pick away at it. Do you know what I mean? I think this would be cool, and I think this would be cool, and we've got a great kind of friendship going together. So that's how we do it.
We had Stephen Duro on last week, who does videos, and his take on it is give me your song,
Sure.
and let me do your video.
Wow.
And he's basically saying, like, you pay me for a service, and I'm gonna make sure I give you the best product for that.
Exciting.
And what he does is he listens to the song, gets an idea for him.
Sure.
For the song, and then does his thing, and it works for a lot of folks. So I had an idea for one of our songs in my head, and I says to him, right, listen to that, what would you do with that? And then he kind of explained what he would do with it, and I was like, wow, man, that's totally different than what I thought.
I feel like the Ronains' first album, though, it was a concept album based on two real people I knew. So
Right.
It was based on a true story, so that was slightly different. Do you know what I mean? I was trying to tell the story that they told me. So
Yeah.
I have to write it up, but I would be well up for that on my next album. I would be well up for that. That sounds great. I love that, actually.
Yeah, the videos. So that was great. That was the Retro Video Club. That's in it. I think as well, when bands are getting naming now, like, see the 3 syllables. The 3 syllables seems to work. So you've got the Bombay Bicycle Club, you've got the New Door Cinema Club. It's like, see using that club at the end, the Glenburn Miners Club. Imagine going to sell that.
Brilliant.
Quite good. Right then, so let's go on to tonight's album. It's a belter. It's The Doors. The Doors. So Andy, Jim, and Tommy are going to take us. This was their debut album, so how did the Doors start up? How did they get to this album? So I'll leave it to you guys to give us a wee 5 minutes on the Doors lead up to this album.
The Doors, right? Well, the lead up to the album, first and foremost for me is, before I get into that part, man, I was living in London. I was in London with my dad. I was only 11-year-old, and his friends kept playing this band, The Doors, and honestly, I couldn't get it out of my mind. I was going from London back up to Patna, and I was telling people, you want to hear this band, The Doors, Light My Fire, and it just stuck with me for all that time. That's why it's a pleasure to come on here and talk about The Doors. But the debut album, I mean, if you're into The Doors and Jim Morrison, they never went long. Andy, Tommy, they only went for 5
7
to
years.
7.
7 years, man.
But even in that 7 year.
Sorry, tell a lie. 6 years, 7 albums.
Well, that's what I was going to say. See, even in that 7 year, they were replacing Jim Morrison 5 year, and whether he died or not, he was out the band. Do you know what I mean? So
that was another thing I was just going to come to, and Scott will love this if he's just took his headphones off, so he'll no listen. Let's get the question out the way. Is Jim Morrison dead?
Well, that's it. I mean, he's the type of guy, right? I think he is dead, right? But he's the type of guy that, he didn't really. He could disappear, Andy. He's not bothered about people.
The problem was, I mean, the big story was that nobody actually seen the body.
Right. That's right, man.
Right.
That's right. And back then, Tommy, he was a millionaire, but didn't he want the money? Do you know that? It's like back then.
He's an artist. That's an art first. He was a
That's it,
poet.
Tommy.
He was a singer. He was an artist.
That's
And
it,
it
Tommy.
was all about the art form. Know the trappings and all the other stuff. That's why,
it, man.
for me, he did some of the stuff on stage, and he used the alcohol to try and.
Yeah.
But he loved the lifestyle. He did love the lifestyle.
He
You know,
did.
and you know, and it's just one of these things. But I mean, it was a debut album, you know, and it was recorded in 1966. You know, at Sunset Studios.
Yep.
It was produced by Paul Rothchild.
Yep.
And it was released on the 4th of January 1967. The thing is, it was due to release. I think it was October that year, November that year.
Sure.
But they didn't want to release it because the record label didn't want them competing with all the new Christmas songs coming out at that time. So they didn't want that to collide with that. So that they postponed the release, even though they weren't happy about it. They postponed the release to January so that, you know, it was a clean release. It wasn't going to be up against empty. You know, and it was unbelievable. But before they'd done this album, they recorded. I mean, they'd just been dropped basically by Columbian Records without any warning, and they were a bit in financial trouble. And what they did is they provided backing music for a Ford Motor Company trailer about some kind of Ford film type thing, and it was called "Love Thy Customer." So it was all to do with that, you know, and that, I think that earned them about $200 at the time. You know what I mean? One of the first ever acts as well to get fired from Whiskey A Go Go. They were the resident band there in 1966, and they were fired for explicit performance of the end. You know, at Whiskey A Go Go. And
I think. See me on top of that debut album. It's like. They were when they were coming out, right? They were classed as the most dangerous band, in America, because when you think about this album coming out as well, Tommy, he's at that Whiskey A Go Go. He's saying he wanted to fuck. Excuse my language, but this is what he was saying. He said he wanted to his mum, and you couldn't say the word.
And shoot his father. It was, and then shoot his father. That's what the thing was.
So, but people were. I think Paul Rothchild. His manager was Bill Siddons, or along the lines. They were in the crowd and seen this guy, and it was the audience reaction. Yeah, everybody was stunned, and that was the birth of Jim Morrison. It's fucking brilliant.
But then you've got you know pre-release to this album, and the media hype and all that, and in the media interviews he was telling that his dad was dead, but his dad wasn't dead.
I know, you just hated that.
He had a
military man. Is that right?
His dad was a military, an admiral. His dad was an admiral.
He was.
But he was basically had this characterization of adult lifestyle that he hated authority and parents and all that kind of thing, even when he was a young lad. I mean, and the first, as I said earlier, the first band to ever be promoted on a billboard, which were usually reserved for cigarette adverts or movie adverts. Do you know what I mean? And I think at the time it cost them $1,500.
But was that no Alexa that was really trying to push this because they put all the eggs in one basket with the doors, because they'd signed up a couple of artists and then they kind of shoved them to the side.
Right.
The Laurel Canyon people and all that, they kind of pushed them aside to promote the Doors and push them as far as they can. So that's how the billboard thing came about, to try and get that out. But I mean, just to touch back on that recording studio, Andy, that recording studio has had more than 200 gold albums.
Yep.
Oh wow!
It's time, and it's the same place that they recorded 101 Dalmatians, because it started off. It was Disney's soundstage,
right?
That's what it's got a special sloping floor on it that stopped bounce back for the recordings, so that when they were doing the animations, they could get a perfect sound, and that's how they pushed it onto bands. But it was kind of basically more or less the home of the Wrecking Crew as well. So the amount of
I was just going to say that as well.
These people it's obviously we'll talk later on when we're going on to songs about Larry for the Wrecking Crew playing bass on a couple of songs on this album. And he's got all his stuff there, and he's too now.
that's what I'm saying. Live shows that they relied heavily though on Manzarek playing the bass with his left hand.
So
he had a special bass keyboard.
He had a bass keyboard because you couldn't get the Rhodes low enough to replicate it. So you had this small, I don't know what it was on top of it.
It's just bass keys. It's just bass keys.
It's mental. It's mental seeing that band without the bass player and hearing that sound of the bass. You know what I mean, for the organ. It just worked well for them. It's just a band that fucking. They're just a great group of people, and even live, there was no practice. They just went with what Jim was. They didn't know what Jim was going to do, and they were happy to go with that. They were happy just to go with that, and it worked out great. You don't get fans doing that.
Don't get me wrong. They auditioned bass players all throughout the time. In the band, and they always did say they were going to bring. But what happened was, as Morrison and Manzarek said, we just sound like the Rolling Stones. We just sound like this. We just sound like, and that's
that whole keyboard drumming thing was something a bit different. It was something to listen to, definitely. I mean, if every other band was like your basic guitar, bass, drum, singer, everything was the same until they came along with this whole keyboard harmony sound. It was brilliant.
It was dense. It was Densmere. It turned around and says it would just sound like every other rock and roll band. Then do you know what I mean? So to make them stand out, let's ditch the bass player.
I mean,
who wants bass players anyway? Don't even get enough.
You know what the bass players are like, man. Fucking
overrated, mate.
Brilliant. As you're talking about the sound, I think that sound like the Ray Manzarek's intro with the organ and most of the songs, it's even to date, it's so iconic. Like My Fire, and it's just I just love the band. I love the look of the band. John Densmore, the jazz drummer, but just brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Robbie Krieger was a flamenco guitarist.
Right, he only picked up that electric guitar 6 months before he actually come on to this.
His guitar's got a distinctive Doors sound. That's
simplistic.
I mean, you can. If you'd never heard, or if somebody says, "Listen to this," and played your Doors songs, you go, "That's Doors," straight away.
Yeah, you would.
And even before the vocals come in, you would just know that the sound of the guitar against the Rhodes piano. Fantastic band.
Brilliant.
When are we going to listen to the Mandy? Come on.
I was just going to bring up some comments here. Jim Reid just commented that the video for Frontline Frankie is brilliant.
That was good. That was a good day. That was a good day, Jim. Brilliant. Great stuff. Michelle
is saying yes, I think, because she loves it. I mean, loves the Doors. She's got them in the freezer. And my dad's saying no, my new freezer. Paul Weir's saying people are saying haunting, brilliant. I mean, I, even before we get into it, it doesn't matter what song he sung, it was haunting. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's all about death, isn't it? It was obsessed with death. So as you'll see with the Light My Fire and Break On Through, I'm looking forward to hearing Break On Through, because I keep saying to Lindsay, your drummer, see that beat, the bossa nova beat. We don't have songs with bossa nova beat in it, but that is one of my favourite beats. And it's fucking brilliant, man. Brilliant.
Right. So I was holding out there, but we'll carry on. Scott's having a few issues, so we'll carry on. All right. So we'll move on. First track.
Brilliant.
It needs no introduction. I'm just going to play.
We'll
get the usual 10 seconds, and we'll get on with it. All right. So go into the tunes, catch up with the scores. Because I don't have Scott's scores, unfortunately. So
we can still talk about those.
So track number 1 needs no introduction. I'm just going to play it. All right.
Listen to that beat.
Can you still recall the time we cried? Bring on through to the other side. Bring on through to the other side.
I mean, wow. What, like it must be one of the best starts to an album that I've heard in a long time. Do you know what I mean?
Man.
And
So good. So good.
So, Jim, break on through. We're going to come to you first, mate. So, give me a score and a wee bit about it, or why.
My score is 10 out of 10 for Break On Through. Just that bossa nova beat at the start, and as you were the wee Lincoln we were talking about earlier, how it come up for samba, and he changed it round a bit, and just into the opening lyrics, you know what I mean? And then the chorus, Break On Through to the other side. It's as soon as I heard it, as I say, I was living in London at the time with my dad, and I was only 11. I used to go down there and stay the summers and then come back to Patna. And every time I went down, the Doors would be playing because that was his band, and that was his friend's band. And fucking Break On Through to the other side. Just I loved it, Andy, Tommy. Just gets me all the time. Every time I hear it in the radio, I don't care where I've been in America playing with the Ronains, and it comes on, and it's fucking brilliant, man. 10 out of 10. I enjoyed that.
Brilliant. Tommy?
Well, I'm going to ruin this for a start. I'm only giving it a 9.
Fuck this.
You might get some 10s later on, Jim. We're at a 9 now with this one. I always thought that this song was a huge chart busting. Like everybody knew this song. It didn't even break the top 100 when it came out as a first release. I think it was 126 or something. It got to in the American Billboard charts. But as Jim says, that whole bossa nova thing that everybody was into, it was through that Wrecking Crew thing. They were playing a lot of stuff that bossa nova beat,
Right,
a lot of kind of Latin style things at the time. That and he'd heard that and brought it into that. But see that the rim click just
yes.
off. You go right, but then the keyboard comes in. And you go, oh, this now we're talking. It really is just a phenomenal track, and
So
maybe I should have gave it a 10, but I think there are other songs on this album that are just slightly better than that. So and this is we're on to podcast 35. I've done a few of them now, so I've got my head now going, is this a better song than that? And is this a bit and all that? But wow, why? Obviously it had a bit of a kind of a recurrence in the charts after the biopic when it came out the film. Come back in, but again, it was only like 25 or something like 28 in the British charts after it. But I think if you said to somebody, tell us 3 Doors songs, Break On Through would be in the top 3.
Yes.
Songs they know.
Good
songs
point.
they know. But for me, it's a phenomenal start to the album. It makes you sit up and listen and go, right, this is what we're getting. Brilliant. Aye.
That's a good point, actually, Tommy. It's a good point Tommy makes. If you're talking about an album, because I actually never kind of thought about that, actually. If you're talking about making an album, Andy and Tommy, we've been there, to actually start the album with that, Tommy, like you said there, that beat in the click, that does grip you. And you actually do think, I mean, what the fuck's coming here?
What's coming next, aye.
That's a great point, actually. I never thought of. Brilliant.
No, I mean, it's Michelle was saying as well, it's music to get lost to. It is.
Aye.
Paul Weir, boom, straight for the bat, you know.
Yep.
You know, absolutely spot on, but I mean, Break On Through was the kind of debut. I think it was also the debut single, was it not?
It was, aye. Yes, it was.
So it was a debut single, right? But
Must
then, go down the whole thing with the Doors and things like that. It was all credited to Morrison and Manzarek, but then basically Krieger had turned around and says he owes it to an old Paul Butterfield blues band song.
That's right.
Yep.
Make my money maker or something. Make your money maker.
Aye.
Have you ever heard that? That's a belter.
And then Manzarek comes out and says, well, I get the kind of bassline keys from What I Say by Ray Charles.
Charles.
So it just shows you that you know that they weren't adverse to other people's music and getting ideas from it. And basically, in one of the documentaries,
covers on the album, Andy, as well. So you got to think of that.
This is the thing that surprises me. You know, like what you're saying about the covers. There was actually the first 2 songs I recorded for this album actually get dropped and featured later on other albums. So they said they didn't have enough songs because, and then which we'll go into later because there's a wee bit about that as well. But you know, basically in the documentary when they were talking about this song, they said we'd steal from MD, so they would steal any kind of and everything from MD, and it was Manzarek that actually said that. It was. You know, it's I just think it's brilliant. Again, I'm with Tommy. I gave it a 9. The reason being is I still think there's better songs on this album. And because the way we do the albums, you've got to then think it is an album. You're not, you know, if it was just a song you were rating, it would be a 10 all day. But it's an album you're rating, and I think there's better songs on this album. And I'm not. Like with this album, I haven't been shy with 10s. I'll give it that. I'll tell you that right now. But you know, definitely one of the best starts to an album that for a long time.
It's a good, yeah, definitely. Andy.
You know, I don't know what Scott's gave it, so I can't comment on that. I'm going to leave it to him till he comes back to give the final score. But we'll move on.
Sure.
We'll go on to track number 2, which is Soul Kitchen.
Let me sleep all night in your soul kitchen. Warm my mind with your gentle stone. Turn me out in a wonder, baby. Stumbling in the neon. Grow with your fingers weep quick.
Brilliant,
man. Fucking hell.
Jim, we'll come to you first, mate.
Whew. That see how it goes up. See how it goes away up there, and then it comes back in. Dun, 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 alphabet. I love that. With that, I love the structure of this song. Let me sleep all night in your soul kitchen. Quite personal for me because when I first formed the Ronains, I was doing this concept album. I got introduced to Gordy Gowdy, who was echoing the Bunnymen at the time. He was playing with them for, I think it was 17 years with them. And he heard about us coming to the studio, and he said he's got a studio in his house in Partick, and it's called the Soul Kitchen. So when we went up there, that's always been a favourite of my Doors songs as well. But the studio we've recorded everything in is called the Soul Kitchen, and it's named after this track, Let Me Sleep All Night in Your Soul Kitchen. And it's I always think life's meant to be. I always think I was meant to sit here even for the day I was born. That's another thing. So I love that. I love that song, Andy. I really, really love the structure of that song, the bass line of that song.
Bass line for that's one of the best one. It wasn't. That was a live bass line. It was
that's what I was wondering there. It doesn't sound as if that's the organ. I wonder if that's where Guy you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
That was I. Yeah.
Brilliant. And another 10 out of 10 for me. That track, fucking phenomenal.
Brilliant. I like how it's got that personal touch for you as well, Jim, and that makes all the difference. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Especially when scoring a track, if it's something that hits, it resonates with you, then you know that I think that you know it deserves a 10, definitely. Brilliant. Tommy.
Right. I'll hit you with the number first. 7.5. But 7.5 is still a very, very
That's
strong
still good,
song.
Tommy.
I mean, I've scored this album pretty highly throughout the kind of. All right, there's a few 7s and 7.5s in there, but there's a couple of 10s and a 9 and 8.5. So it's a great album.
Sure.
This track itself, as you say, the bass line was done by Larry Knetchell, who was part of the crew. And just the song itself is written about Olivia's soul food restaurant that Jim Morrison used to hang about in until closing time. So it's like, let me sleep all night in your soul kitchen. Because, like, can I not just sleep here? And they went, no, you need to go home. Says, I could just sleep here, just lock the door, and that's what the song's about. But then when you hear the keys and the guitar together, and it's like, right, it's you go, and it's like, meow, that guitar screaming in, and then you go, this is superb. Meanwhile, he's telling this story about I went to go and try and get some soup, and didn't want to go anywhere else, so I just want to lie here, just leave me, and you go pick me up in the morning. But that's the kind of things he would do, because he didn't want to go places, he just wanted to be himself and all that, So, no, brilliant track, great track. Once again, just that each part of the band just puts in exactly what's needed, when's needed. Right. And then quite happy to then take the background when somebody else is going. And then the band as a whole sat back when Jim goes up to the mic. So it's great, the structure of the songs and what the songs are all about and all that. But 7.5 out of 10 for me all day. Great song.
Brilliant. And I mean, this song is probably the first realms of how a simple story like that for Jim Morrison can be turned into a song that can also sound very sexual and very, and possibly sound about drug use and all that, when it's actually a song about where he used to go to eat. You know what I mean? He talks.
It's a school kitchen, Andy. You know what I mean?
It is, you know what I mean? But it was, as you said, it was in Santa Monica. Olivia's in Santa Monica, and I think he used to also go there when he was slightly drunk, and that's when he used to fall asleep.
What a time!
And he used to have to, they had to wake him up to close up and all that, But it's just a great example of how he can take that simple concept and twist it and make it sound sexy and just like. But it's actually quite a simple song, do you know? But as Tommy says, everything works well together. Everything comes in at the right time. Guitars, and then Manzarek, you have a shot. Krieger, you have a shot. Manzarek, you have a shot. Bouncing back and forth off each other, and it works so well. Again, I gave this an 8, so I wasn't too far off you, Tommy. But still a great example of a song, and probably I would say, and I don't know what Scott's scores is, and I'm purposely not going into the bit where it tells me, right? Because I actually reckon that this will be the best start to an album that we've had on the podcast.
I would think so.
Absolutely phenomenal. And it's just a phenomenal start. But I see that our main man has just come back and sat in his chair. Don't know how long he's going to be. I'm going to wait till he puts his headphones on. I'm not going to go on to song 3 yet. I'm going to get his take on 1 and 2 and see how he is.
I'd like to hear that. I'd like to hear his take on it, actually.
But as I said, for me, the start of this album is just phenomenal. And it wouldn't surprise me if it was one of the best starts to an album on the podcast.
I agree.
And I think that possibly knowing Scott, Break On Through is going to be mental high. Soul Kitchens just get that vibe and that, and I think that it's going to be big. Do you know what I mean? Definitely. So if he's ready, he's nearly ready. I can see him. He's nearly there. Nearly there. I'm just waiting for him. No, but as I said, here we go. We've got him. He's there. He's there.
Holy shit!
I was just saying, Scott, I was waiting till we move on to song number 3, but I want to get your take on Break On Through to begin with.
Yeah, what band are we doing tonight again?
He's not even laughing to.
I said Break On Through. I wrote what an introduction. The organ on it was totally original of the time. I don't know, you've probably mentioned this, and I think Jim had said to me earlier before, these guys were 20-year-old when they wrote this album. So that Hammond organ, is it a Hammond organ? Rhodes organ. So that organ sound was kind of, it was used in that time, but no in this genre. It was quite good how they got it. But anyway, it's a classic, and it's got energy for the vocals. So the drums are swingy, and the organ makes it a bit calm, but it's the vocal and the guitar that sits behind that just gives that song the oomph, if you like, you know. It's it's 2 minutes 40 seconds or something. The song, it's an absolute. It's a classic. It takes you back to a time in the 60s as well. It's definitely a song of the times. So Break On Through, I gave it a 10 out of 10, and the podcast score for that was 9.5.
Wow.
And the song Soul Kitchen, so when I first listened to the album, obviously I was in self-isolation this week, so I was doing my walk, my steps, with my earphones on around my garden.
Oh, nice.
So Monday and Tuesday, wasn't really getting this song, but then I got it. I really got it. You can definitely see where Spiral Carpets get Saturn 5 for that tune with the organ at the start. You know, you can get that. It's got a cool feel throughout the whole song, but it picks up brilliantly in the choruses. A total grower, and I've got it as a kind of walk down the street song. Kind of like fucking Pulp Fiction type thing, kind of like John Travolta's coming into the scene. So from a 7 at the start of the week, I gave that a 9 because that grew on me. So 8.63 for that.
So just going back to that, Scott. I mean, do you think that's probably one of the best starts to an album we've had in the podcast?
Aye. What did we have there? A 9.2, a 9 and an 8, an 8 and a 9 to start off with. But if you think about it, like, you're 20-year-old, you've just got the band together in a few years, and your first song is Break On Through. Your first song of the, because as Tommy keeps going about before in the past, like with vinyl, when folk got a vinyl, it was side A song 1 they played first. Kind of didn't do this skipping to song 4 and 5.
Of course.
And then that's the song that everybody hears first for the Doors. It's an absolute belter. And Soul Kitchen, just even the name. The
name's amazing, Scott. The name's so
the rhythm suits the name, Jim. Do you know what I mean? It's like they've wrote a song on about that title, but that's me quickly. So you,
so I'm just going to flash up a couple of comments here. Thanks for the support, Scott. Means a lot for Jason. As I said, Jason, we did try to tag you in, and I've just found your all social. So I've dropped a link in the chat, so everybody should hit it up. Go Jim, full of the soup and the big B. There you go. I'm guessing that's the wine that shall not be named. It should be ESQ you're promoting, no that other one.
I don't drink that. I don't drink the big B.
Big up to the lads at the Pelikan Podcast. No, Jason, it was a pleasure, mate. You do a lot, and I know you do a lot out in the community and that for the younger guys, you know, coming into the DJ scene and teaching a lot. So
he talks some shite on Facebook, mind you.
Does he? You know,
I'm that in below you, Andy. I'm that in below you.
So
cut for the same cloth, they two.
Aye. Okay, right. Queen Margaret, I can't get.
Right, before then, breaks out and all that kind of shit. Move on to song number 3. Crystal Ship, brilliant.
The crystal ship is being filled. 1,000 girls, 1,000 thrills, 1,000,000 ways to spend your time.
Oh man. Jason, there's Jason got a response for you, mate.
Oh, what does that mean, Jason? Tell that Jason Currie's music off.
So
he's winding me up, Jim.
Bugger that. Crystal Ship. I'm going to come to you first, Jim.
Right. On this album, right, I'll let you... I'm a Doors fanatic, so I've heard Tommy and I explain some of the songs, and I'm going to let you do that. I would like to get my kind of personal opinion on this album. So I've been asked to go on podcasts before. I've never done it. I really like your podcast, and I like you all as guys. So the Crystal Ship, right? It's such a weird thing. When I said I lived in London and I first heard the Doors, and I always believed that things were meant to happen. I just didn't know what for. fast forward away up to recording in the Soul Kitchen. I recorded, as I was saying, in the Soul Kitchen. In the Crystal Ship, before you slept into unconsciousness, I'd like to have another kiss. Well, it meant something before, but now it brings me to Shawnee Scott, because I always think things are meant to happen, and man, that song is just in a new meaning for me because the lyrics just remind me of him, and it's just a thing. The start of the song, right through the structure, the middle eight, right into the end, is just fucking phenomenal. Honestly, it takes my. There's not many albums I say this. I'm a big Oasis fan and Led Zeppelin, and I'm a fan of all music. But this album and the Crystal Ship, I was listening to it the other night. I was listening to it all week, and it's just my friend Shawnee Scott now, and it's fucking. It's another. This album's no 10s for me, but this is a 10 out of 10 on a personal point of view. This song now is taking me away down the rabbit hole to the point I had to turn it off the other night. But even now, it's fucking magical. I just love listening to it there. 10 out of 10. It's for Shawnee. Love that.
Brilliant. I love that, mate. Love. You know, Tommy, I'm going to come to you, mate.
Yes, the simplicity of this track and Morrison's haunting vocal performance really hits home. I could listen to this all day. I could listen to this track all day. But what I've got down in my notes there is this the Doors Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds? Because when you look at the notes about
Good shout.
A few people are reading into it that it was to do with crystal meth and the ship was the needle and passing into consciousness was him getting into something. But the other side of it is, and I know Andy's probably got the notes in front of him there, Jim Morrison says he wrote it about an ex-girlfriend who kind of lost love. And then when you listen to it with that in your mind, what a beautiful love song. But is it about drugs? Is it about love? But then again, the majority of music is either about drugs, drink, or love anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But as a song, it puts the hair in the back of your neck up just listening to it. For me, it's another 9 out of 10 on the start of this album. Beautiful song.
Brilliant.
I'll come to me then, will we? For me, this is one of my all-time favourite Doors songs.
Wow.
This song, it just takes you away somewhere else. You know, his vocal is so haunting, it can be used on its own. Do you know what I mean? The way he pitches it, even when the music's the same level, and the way he pitches it and comes back down. So when he's talking about, you know, the crystal, and then he comes right back down into it, you know, you're just like, what, you know, wow, this was a B-side to Light My Fire. Imagine that single, having that single, man, and turn it over thinking.
The vocals as well, Andy. The vocals as well. 20-year-old Scott. 20-year-old. Frankly, it's his Frank Sinatra and all that. Fucking brilliant.
I mean, the thing is with the girlfriend is he slips into unconsciousness was about supposedly about not being able to let go and all that, and kind of have another kiss before you go is a kind of, you know, or before I go, you know. And I mean, there's loads of talk about that he actually kept in touch with his ex-girlfriend, but she wanted nothing to do with him, and there was loads of talk about it. But as you said, you know.
Brilliant.
He was a poet, and he's used images for this song to build this song. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like, it is amazing. So it's a 10 for me.
Excellent.
Brilliant.
Before we start, I'm a Doors fan in the case of the hits. So songs like Soul Kitchen and the Crystal Ship I'd never heard before. So that's how I love doing these things, because you get to hear new songs. So folk that I like, that I'm pals with, like the Doors, but I've only liked the hits. What I have noticed though is Jim Morrison, although he was only 20, I've seen a video of him when he was about 13 or 14. So he oozes confidence anyway.
Yeah.
So he's confident enough. So that shows you that if you ooze confidence, don't care what anybody says, just do it. and I don't know if he's mentioned this, but the whole album was done in a 4-track. So you had like the vocal, bass, guitar, and organ, and then there was an overdub. I think you said that, Andy. See his voice, and I said this about Maya Brown as well. Some singers are just singers, but singers like Jim Morrison have to use, especially when you've not got a lot of stuff, they're using their voice as an instrument as well. So when you were talking about getting up and down there, Andy, and there's other songs in it as well, like there's songs in the future that he does, Riders in a Storm, which I think Jason mentioned there. Like he goes up and down with that song. It's him that creates the rhythm of that song, and he does it exactly with this as well. The melody and the piano and the chorus is amazing, and the reason it's amazing is because that melody and the piano and that chorus, I don't know what the exact songs, so I tried to listen for it, but they've been used so many times, that kind of melody. It's a kind of euphoric kind of melody. That's how you can love this song, because that melody and piano's been used a lot, and it's euphoric. It kind of lifts you. The structure of the song's tremendous, and it really grew on me as well. I gave it an 8 out of 10. That's what I gave it.
See, just what you're talking about that, Scott, about the piano on it. Just that last bit of the piano where he goes, he's giving it, and then Jim Morrison just comes back in with this big booming, the crystals, you laugh out, it's just, like, as Tommy says, it just makes your hair stand up.
Was this not another song that was like under 3 minutes as well? Was this one of them? Like,
so the Crystal Ship was 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
I know, like, I mean, you're talking nowadays, like, there's bands trying to play songs to reinvent the wheel that are getting into 4 or 5 minutes, and honest to God, man, like, this just shows you 3 minutes. They would work brilliantly these days, because nobody can be fucked listening to anything these days. They want to scroll on. That's how every song needs to start with a chorus. We did a song, Feel the Pain, but I said to Andy, I goes, we deliberately need to start this with a chorus, because you need to catch somebody's attention straight away these days. Like, and then like you've got Jason and all the dance DJs as well. Like, you don't get the 12-inch remixes anymore, Tommy, because like folk can't be fucked waiting for it to kick in, Like, it's just mental how things have changed. But anyway,
Just a couple
on the radio. If I give them 30 seconds, see if they've not caught me in 30 seconds, they're probably not going to make the show. And I'll be honest with that, because I've not got time to listen to 2.5, 3 minutes till it gets into whatever it's doing, and then listen to another one. So I can be fucked listening to them, but only if they catch me in the first 30 seconds.
Just great.
I think there's so much content. There's singles coming out every left, right, and centre, as you say, Tommy. I think as well, going back to this album, I mean, see, this is the thing with the Doors, that you're talking about gripping you. Jim Morrison says this album could be whatever you want it to be. We've talked about that. We'll get to the end, and I think that's why I really like this album as well. So, like Tommy's saying, is about crystal meth, is about this, but it makes you think that, doesn't it? It drags you into. I wonder what that was about, and it's really, really good, really cool, man.
Just going to get through some of the comments. There's Jason, all the banter lads. I'm going to keep this one up. Interesting things you're doing with the podcast. Cheers, Jason. Paul Weir, Jim. There we go.
My
mate Naz does a dance version for Riders of the Storm.
Wow.
So, Jason, send us a link, mate, or pop us a link on. Be good to hear.
There's a mashup with Blondie and Riders of the Storm as well, I think, which is quite cool.
Jason agrees. Paul Weir again agrees with me. There we go. Michelle takes me back to a well-spent youth. Aye.
Aye.
Oh, here we go. Charlie, full of useless knowledge. The fonts used for the Doors was issued as a standard font by Microsoft.
Brilliant.
Couple of wee smiley faces for Graham McFarlane. Changed the industry for sure. I think the Doors changed the industry for sure, but
I think he's talking about the dance music and how songs are produced now.
Definitely.
There's Debbie saying Jim's the world's worst for skipping songs. Drives me nuts.
Well, see what Tommy's saying. I mean, sat with a couple of producers, not that produced our tracks, but even a guy that produced some Muse songs, the band Muse. Sat with him, And just like Tommy's saying, even when we're making our music, they don't want to. Every one of them says, quick start, man, has to have a catch. Do you know what I mean? So we've always done that in the Ronains. I've tried to do that. Our songs don't go over 3 minutes 12. Do you know what I mean? So I've taken that to that process. But music has changed. I mean, you think about the Doors, to say higher, as we'll get into, is like saying fuck. And he just rebelled. And that's why I quite liked him. And if he was around today, he would be rebelling. Do you know what I mean? Not many bands are... Oasis get away with it, the Libertines, maybe the last kind of ones. But some guys are trying to rebel, they're just too clean. I don't know why Oasis get away with it, and that band out the back tried it last week, and you think, what an idiot. I don't know where it... I don't know where that comes from, Scott. Because bands try to be Liam Gallagher. I think it's embarrassing. But I loved Liam Gallagher, and he can still pull it off. So music has changed for me.
That's a good point, Jim, because he's still believable when you see him. Isn't he? Like when he does he's kind of growing out. He was a parody of himself when he was in BDI, to be honest. But I get with that. But at the end of the day, by the way, a lot of bands you don't get many bands copying the Doors. There's no many bands out there.
That was my point. If Jim Morrison was around today, I still think, Tommy, if he came out the morning, he was 20-year-old and he played that song at King Tut's, Tommy, I would be a fan.
I think also, I don't think a lot of bands copy the Doors. There might be a wee subtle things. I mean, the Doors doing their bluesy stuff is like the blues. Like everybody does the blues. But I think a lot of singer-songwriters copy Jim Morrison, his style, his structure, getting into poetry. Like some of the best songwriters are poets as well. Like your Pete Doherty and all that. Like they guaranteed would have listened to Jim Morrison, Dylan, Neil Young and all that. Like to get an idea of writing. Like but anyway. The score. Are we all right for the score in this, Andy? Do you want to put the score up? Yeah. So that's a Crystal. Wow. There you go. Wow. 1.25.
Going well, man.
Excellent. Andy, is there any more comments just before we go into the next song?
We've got Morrison Elon. Hi, Uncle Jamie.
Hello. How are you?
Jason's back on. The End is a wonderful produced track by the Doors.
We'll
come to that.
I can't wait to come to
I'm guessing, Jason, that's a link for the Riders of the Storm. Aye. Riders of the Storm. That's a track for Daz. So, anybody wants to go and give it a listen, Jason,
we'll play it tonight. We'll play it with that tonight. Our last song tonight will be that. I'll get it up and we'll see if we can play it with that tune.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on then. Song number 4 is 20th Century Fox.
Century Fox, she's a 20th Century Fox. No kills, no fears, no ruin years, no clocks. She's a 20th.
So, Jim, come to you first, mate.
I'm going to. I only for my love for the Doors, because I've been doing up my house and I was like, that's a fucking 10. That's a 10. That's a fucking 10. So I'm going to change this to a 9 if that's all right. Because I was getting carried away from my love for the band, and I think so on the album. So I'm listening to the album for the first time, and we've started to break on through the Soul Kitchen. We went down the rabbit hole into the Crystal Ship, and I'm thinking I listened to this for the first time. It comes back up as a ballsy. You hear the organ again track. I like this track. I really, really like 20th Century Fox. It gets my mind, my head bopping, and I think it's quite cool too, because people go, was it about the 20th Century Fox? You know, the film production.
Mm-hmm.
You know that way, and obviously I'll let you explain what it was about. But it's a 9 for me. This track, it's a 9 for me as I go down the album. Loved it again. Brilliant song, brilliant structure, really upbeat. I love how it starts. I love the middle 8 with the organ and You notice with the Doors, it's like, they've got quite similar endings.
Aye.
No shit will never die. So,
They would never have worked in the 80s, Tommy.
I know
That's
that.
in the 80s. We've noticed in 80s albums they struggle to finish a song.
Just fade it out.
Jim Morrison was wanting to go into when through the Doors. I'd kind of heard and read he was wanting to push right into a kind of classical area, and you're starting to hear that big band ending in it. I know it's only 4 hours, but it's a 9 for me. Aye, good song. Good
Tommy,
song.
come to you, mate.
Aye, I've gave this a 7, guys, and the reason I've gave it a 7 is it's a right solid rock song. That's what it is, and it's the Doors. It's just checking on my notes here. It's just a solid, strong Doors song. A lot of interplay between the Rhodes piano and the guitar, kind of going from side to side. But then again, I've seen in other songs they step back to let Morrison take over. Densmore's drumming is just fantastic for me. It pushes the song along all the time, you know. And sometimes he goes into that double when he's doubling up on the snare to kind of give you the emphasis when Morrison's gone for it, you know. But 7 out of 10 all day. Solid, decent song.
Aye, brilliant. Scott, I'm going to come to you next, mate, because I'll let you have a wee bit of limelight, mate. Here you go.
Well, I thought this song was interesting because it was, to me, it sounded different for, well, up to now it sounded different for anything I'd heard the Doors doing. This was their kind of most swinging 60s tune.
You can hear that,
like you know, it was like a definite. This is a 60s tune here. And the guitar comes into play in this as well. You can hear more of the guitar coming into play in this tune, and it's got a cool rhythm. But I'm massive in melodies, and your 20th Century Fox bit is a melody that you would expect. Like you're singing out, you're talking about a fox type thing. Like there's obviously a woman that they're talking about, but see the no tears bit where he starts singing no tears. See that change of melody, that wee melody that he does there. That's amazing. It's really I love all that. I love when a song goes somewhere. You've got a melody going on, but you've got a wee bridge bit that you just chuck in a totally different melody. It's really cool. That made that song stand out for me. So the 60ness of it, how it was like swinging 60s. And that, and the way that they structured the melodies in that, and then his voice, obviously, 8 out of 10 for me.
Brilliant. I totally get what you're saying, Scott. You know, and it was that kind of, it's got that kind of happy, you know, free love swingers type, you know, 60s vibe, you know, for that, and I totally get it. But it is about basically false glamour. And the 20th Century Fox comes from, there's a play on the music, the film studios. The 20th Century Fox, you know, is about the movies and the fox being the girl, you know. So it's just a play on words, basically. But unfortunately for me, this song came after, you know, Crystal Ship, as I said, one of my favourite Doors songs of all time. You know, and I gave it a 7.
Excellent.
Cool.
Okay then, I'll just give you the full score for that. 7.75 out of 10 for that one.
Right, it's in the album. It's a wee bit, as you say, Andy. That's a good point. After the Crystal Ship, you know, it's quite a good. It's quite. I know, but I mean, as albums go, though, get into track 4, some albums, track 5, you're like that, unless it was like Oasis, or you think fucking that song's a bit shit now. That some albums die, but good song. Still for me, if I was listening to them for the first time, I'm still buzzing now to go to the next one. You know what I mean?
But you know, as I said, it's got a good structure, but it is just a typical Doors song. It's not as if it's been written. Whereas I think like Crystal Ship is something that just blows your mind and takes you away somewhere else.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Whereas this is just you know, if you said this was the Doors, this is the Doors, you know, you would get that. You know what I mean? That's it.
Definitely.
For me. But I love Scott's references to that kind of 60s vibe.
Definitely.
Which I definitely gave you. No.
What's your alien comes down from Mars, Jim or Tommy? Alien comes down from Mars. They go, what's the Doors sound like? What Doors song are you giving them?
I'm going to hold off on that one, Scott, because I've actually
All right.
for later on in the album.
Oh yes, man, we've got an alien reference tonight again. Yes.
For me, it would be Break On Through. That would be my one, Alien. I would just say, listen to this, man. The start of the album, brilliant.
That's a shout. I'd say that as well, definitely. I'd say Break On Through. Okay then, Andy, is that us on Alabama song?
No. I would have said Loved You 2 times.
Yeah, great song.
Good shout.
Is that one for School of Rock when they do the piano? No, that's Touch Me. You seen School of Rock?
Hey, can't you see?
What
a song, by the way.
Surely their best of albums up there with the Eagles' best of.
Honestly.
One of my favourite songs for them is LA Women. And
I love it, Jim. Oh, it's my favourite Doors tune.
Man, it's just a shame it's not on this. But
I know. Oh, we can't even play it. We'll get chucked off.
I know.
Good. Right, song number 5. We're going on the Doors albums. Song number 5, Alabama song.
Oh, show me the way to the next little girl. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. Show me the way to the next little girl. Oh, don't ask why.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
I want to see what scores you gave this about there.
Jim, come here.
I know.
Listen to that. Dun, 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 dun. So listen to the album for the first time. Where are we going here? It's such a journey with the Doors. Think about Break On Through to where we are here. We're now doing this psychedelic swing rock. It's just I love the lyrics. Show me the way to the next whiskey bar. I'll not ask why. It's just again, I can hear a big band. I can hear a big band in this. Do you know why it's got that? I know there's no trombones and everything, but I can hear that. Dun, 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 dun. I can see folk hitting big fucking beats. I like this song. It's not my favourite Doors song. It's an 8 out of 10 for me. But as the structure goes, the drums, the sound of the guitar, and Morrison's voice, it's an 8 out of 10 for me. It's not one of my favourites of the Doors, but as the album goes and where he's took us to the Crystal Ship, it's as if we're going along in a car of the Doors, and he's fucked it into the left hand side. And you're like, what? It's like in a dream, and you're with Scott in that hut, and then you turn around and Tommy's standing naked. You just
That's not a dream, mate. That's a bit of a nightmare. I can assure you.
No, I think I think as this album's going on, you can see Jim maybe experimenting with weird drugs and the band, and he's through us down the left hand side. I don't even know what the fuck. I don't know if you know what I mean. But
Aye.
You know what
I get it.
do you get what I mean? It's,
Yep.
We're on such a journey here now that 8 out of 10 for me with Jim Morrison and the Doors.
Tommy.
Yes. It's a cover version.
It's a cover.
It's a cover. It's a cover of a German. I'm just checking a German poem, which of course Jim Morrison changed a few of the lyrics to suit his needs. For me, this is pure musical theatre, music hall. I've got a vision of the Doors staggering out of a pub, arm in arm, singing "Show Me the Way to the Next Whiskey Bar."
Kicking the legs,
and their arms are swinging, and they're bluter, and they're the best pals ever. And they've even got a marxophone in the song. A marxophone's a kind of a keyboard type instrument with a kind of bassy guitar, so it's got that kind of hollow body on it and all that. So that's how you're going to ding, 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 ding. So for me, that just conjures up thoughts, I had like visions in my head when you're listening to the song. It's not just about the song; it's about what it is, and it's either like 4 guys on a stage singing along, or 4 drunken guys walking down the street, taking this. Him being the poet, he obviously reads a lot of poetry as well. So finding this kind of obscure German poem, I think there's a bit of Russian in it as well. But just taking it and putting this amazing music behind it, just it takes you to a different place. Just totally takes you to a different place. For me, it's an 8.5, 8.5 out of 10, just for the whole inventiveness of the whole song.
I mean, it's a German opera, so it was, and it was written in 1929. And this song was originally on it. It was "Show Me the Place to the Next Little Dollar," I think was one of the lines in it, and it obviously get changed to "Show Me the Way to the Next Little Girl," which was Jim's take on it. But it's got that feel of lads walking down the street, you know, handy, but they've kept it true to the German because it's got that German papa band feel to it. Do you know what I mean? So they've kept that German element in it. Do you know what I mean? But even though it's a cover, you know, his take on it is phenomenal. And I loved it. It gives you a kind of happy feeling that just reminds you of a night out, which you don't kind of get, you know. So for me, I gave it an 8. Scott?
An 8. I fucking hated it. Honestly, I didn't like it at all.
Fair enough.
They were trying something different. I don't think it sits in the album. I think I didn't realise it was a cover, and believe it or not, it sounds very like 1920s Charleston, like kind of prohibition type thing. That doesn't fit in the album at all. It sounded a bit Dad's Army to me as well. Like, I don't know. I'm really, really sorry, but if I call a good song, I'm calling a good song, but that in there just didn't hit me at all. But I gave it a 6.5 for me.
And that's why Scott will have people on here with 4 different opinions and
That's it.
That's
it.
Absolutely.
That's what music's all about. Some folk hate the Rolling Stones, man. Do you know what I mean? That's what music's all about.
Oh, Jim, we did Exile on Main Street, and it's meant to be one of the top albums of all time. And I'm telling you, I struggled to get an 8, an 8 out of 10 in it. The score for that, same as 20th Century Fox, 7.75. I'll just put that up there. Still good scores though.
Good scores, do you know what I mean?
Great scores.
And bear in mind, it's in 37 the Pop Vortex. It's already got, so the album before we start has already got 0.64. I think it is 0.64 is what it already starts with. So let's see what our average score is in this album. Guys, fasten your seatbelts.
Oh,
aye. Well, I was just going to go into comments before we do that.
Oh, do that, Andy. Yeah.
Aye. So, Debbie, our very first gigs were dotted around Paisley, and the first covers we played were Doors. Is that right, Jim? Aye, is that
aye, man. We done the Roadhouse Blues into
Shun.
And we combined it with Led Zeppelin, and only because when you do Roadhouse Blues and then you get into a whole lot of love, it was simply the people in the audience can't no get up when they hear Debbie's vocals or you need that Led Zeppelin.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to hold themselves down on the seat, but they're fucking got that to get up. So that's why that's because the Doors has got that,
mm-hmm.
and so is Led Zeppelin. So that's why we done the Doors. Roadhouse Blues, brilliant song.
Oh, it's amazing.
Jason's called his pal Darryl just to let him know that we're going to play Riders of the Storm at the end of the show.
We're
not going to review it. We're not going to review it, but we'll play it.
Yeah. I've got to say though, I've just been on. I can't copy and paste the link, and I don't know how you can get it into the private comments, Andy. But I'm in Daz Scott's SoundCloud now, and that boy's done a lot of music.
Can I? Well, if Jason, if you're still listening, because I'll not be able to copy out of this either. That can you
just
send
private message
a link, private message, or Scott a link to Darryl Daz's tune, and we'll get it played.
You saw it. See, you guys are talking about the cover. I never knew that was a cover myself. The lyrics. Anyway, talk about. Have you heard the Doors cover of Gloria? Van Morrison's Gloria?
No.
Oh,
Need to check that out.
You never heard it, Tommy?
No, need to check it out. It's a song I love, but everybody's covered it. Everybody's that song. But
it's a good point because you're talking about unique sound. I've heard other covers of it, but nobody does it like Jim Morrison and the Doors.
I can imagine.
So there's one for you to check out. The Doors, Gloria.
David Fallon's asking, where's Flowers of Scotland, Debbie?
Coming soon. We'll get Dragon Soup doing a big. Well, they're helping us do a big PR campaign this one, so it's like a 6-week campaign starting in 7 days' time.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be good. I think this song is going to do well just with what's happening in the country. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's Paul Weir's commenting, Jason, your page is brilliant. So it must have popped onto Jason's page. That's what I like to Paul.
Yep.
That's what it's all about. Get the guy supported, and if you like what you see, give him a like, follow him.
David Bowie did a cover of Alabama song as well. I've read there.
Never knew that.
Mm-hmm. It's absolutely dreadful.
Is it?
So,
it's terrible.
You're talking about. Sorry, Andy. No, go for it. I'm waiting.
No. You go before we go into this.
Right.
On you go.
Well, we're talking about that being dreadful. In the book, Light My Fire, or No One Gets Out of Here Alive, whatever the book I'm thinking of, the Rolling Stones get invited along to see. Well, it was Mick Jagger and Keith Richards get invited along to see the Doors playing in America, and they walked out. They hated the band, so they did. And then it wasn't until a few years later when the hits started coming out, they went back, saw it. And they fucking loved. They couldn't believe it was the same band. They just.
Aye.
So that's fucking brilliant. But on you go, Andy. I'm waiting for this
song that needs no introduction. We'll just play.
I'm waiting.
And our love become a funeral pyre. Come on, baby, light my fire. Come on, baby, light my fire. Try to set the night on fire.
Oh, could we get put off for that? Andy liked that too much.
That's under 20 seconds.
Is it?
Definitely under 20 seconds, mate. Aye. Definitely under 20 seconds.
Brilliant, man.
Do we even need to talk about this song?
I know.
Let's see if we can get. We've had a 10 out of 10 song for a while. Let's see if we can get a 10 out of 10 song. So you go first, Jim.
Right. Well, as we know, I've been letting you explain the some of the where the songs came from. So this is the guitarist of the Doors. I'll let you kind of dwell on it. The guitarist of the Doors, Robbie Krieger's come forward now and said, I've got a song, Light My Fire. And as the album goes, as I keep saying, man, they've arrived, haven't they? This organ now, it's as if they've experimented with the organ and bringing the organ in the middle there and the organ at the end. Now we're punching forward with the organ, and I think the band's arrived here. Come on, baby, light my fire. And Tommy, we talked about it at the start. He wasn't into money. I think they were the first band. They got offered $1 million. $1 million they got offered for an advert about soap powder or whatever it was, and to the band's horror, Jim fucking refused it. And the band went on to Hanny's back and sold it to them.
It was Buick.
So Buick. So the Light My Fire, they get banned for the Ed O'Sullivan show because he wasn't allowed to sing the word higher. It was like shouting F-U-C-K. And he went up to the camera and screamed it. And he was never to play again. That's the Doors. It's my favourite song for the Doors.
Do you know the quote he said after that?
No.
He wouldn't play it again because we've already played it anyway.
That's right. I did know that.
Brilliant.
I did know that. So 10 out of 10. I love it's a long instrumental, but I love the instrumental because it reminds me of my lifetime and the ups and downs. And after the instrumental, if you listen to it, it starts to build. Dun, 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 dun. dun, 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 starts to build and it punches right into Light My Fire, You Know It'll Be on Tune. 10 out of 10. Absolutely brilliant song for the guitarist Robbie Krieger. Loved it. Every time I hear it in the radio, I don't care where I am. If I'm working, I take time out to listen to the song. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Tommy?
I gave this a 3. I'm only joking. I'm just referring to my notes again. There's 2 epic masterpieces on this album, and they both finish each side of the vinyl. I said earlier I didn't want to say anything about the Alien song because this is it. If when the Alien come down and they say we want to hear this band of Doors, it's Light My Fire. It sat at number 1 for 3 weeks in 1967. Right. Now, as you know, I did my 60s show, and see 1967, the amount of music that was out there. Nothing was hit number 1. See, for a song to sit there for 3 weeks, that is a huge achievement. It's just the Doors, and to get anything less than a 10 would be a disgrace. So it's 10 out of 10 all day for me. Brilliant song.
Brilliant.
I'll go next. We're gonna Light My Fire, as you said, Robbie Krieger's first introduction to the band. Right, as a song, we need some songs for this album. Did he not strike gold or what? Do you know what I mean? You know, first ever song wrote for the band. Come up with this. You're just like, wow. You know. Supposedly they didn't have enough original songs on this album to complete the album. But remember I said earlier, they did drop 2 songs from the album when they first recorded them. So they dropped 2 original songs which went on to become on other albums. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know, why he was saying, but Jim Morrison was telling Krieger to write something about what's universal, what lasts. So he started thinking about air, fire, and water. Do you know what I mean? And this is where Light My Fire came in. Play With My Fire was thinking about, and it's just one of the things. And as Jim was saying during this, that this was commissioned as well. They were going to commission this song to be used in a Buick ad, and basically when Jim Morrison found it, so they recorded this. He stayed in London at the time, so I think after the tour, they finished in London. He stayed in London, and the band never even realised he was staying there, and so he never appeared again. And then they decided they got in touch with the band, and the 3 of them made the decision that we're going to sell this to Buick to use in their ad. And Morrison found out about this. He basically says he would take a Buick on every stage that he played and smash it up at the end of every Doors concert. So that's how much he was thinking about it. But it's what we talk about, songs that are going to last for for time and time. This is one of them. 10.
Brilliant, Andy. Brilliant.
Scott?
Yeah, well, we've got my first 10 out of 10 as well, because who am I, a gas engineer for Presswick, going to sit and say that Light My Fire isn't a 10 out of 10? I mean, it's a song that I've heard since I was a wee boy. It's always been there, Light My Fire, even before I knew it was the Doors that did it. I love this wee bit about it, which is weird, which is getting right into technicalities of it, but the 40th anniversary mix of the debut album presents a stereo version of Light My Fire in speed corrected form for the first time. The speed discrepancy being about 3.5% slower was brought to the attention of Bruce Botnick, a Brighton Young University, and the Professor Michael Hicks, who noted that all video and audio live performances of the Doors performing this song, the sheet music, the statements of the band members show the song in a key almost half a step higher than the key of A than the stereo LP release, which was in the key of A flat, G sharp. Until the 2006 remasters, only the original 45 RPM singles of Light My Fire and Break On Through were produced at the correct speed. So, fuck knows what that means, but it sounds fucking... it sounds cool. It's basically when they recorded it, it was done at the right time. But ever since they've played it, like they're kind of out of time slightly, and they've went a higher key singing it. So aye, and then there's been loads of. I'll tell you, I'm not really into X Factor and all that kind of stuff, right? But I quite liked it when Will Young did Light My Fire.
Oh, I
Remember that when Will Young did Light My Fire, and then Simon Cowell said it was shite, and then Will Young says to him, "You can't fucking say that shite," but he never said it like that. But
no, but there was a comedy. Remember, there was a comedy Light My Fire just in the back of my mind. It was like a Swedish guy done it. Do you remember that?
And do you want to know something? I watched something with Rain Manzarek talking about this, and he says at first when he done it, he absolutely hated it, but now when he does it, he says it's genius. I'm like, right, okay. But I do know what you're talking about. I can't remember the guy's name now.
I think it was a number one hit in the UK.
It was, aye.
About blonde hair, but on going back to the song, you think of that in the late 60s, as you're saying, Tony, and I've watched the documentary on this a lot of times, and
Mike Flower Pops.
What?
The Mike Flower Pops. Same guy did Wonderwall. It no him that did a right cheesy. Aye, I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was. Aye.
But even the
kind of lounge. He did a lounge album. He covers.
Right. Even the name, Scott, Light My Fire. I mean, come on, baby. And the look of Morrison, it's dead sexy, man. Come on, baby, light my fire. It's everything about that song's great. I even love the title. Love it.
It's amazing how Val Kilmer looked the double of him in that film, isn't it?
Oh, he was amazing.
And he did live vocals in that film as well.
Aye.
Val Kilmer, I must admit, Val Kilmer was amazing in that film. I mean, how he portrayed him, how he went about it, and everything was just phenomenal.
It was.
Well, there's my first 10 out of 10 in a long time. 10 out of 10 song, Light My Fire.
Brilliant.
That's up there with, God, there's loads, Long and Winding Road, and what other tunes we got? Get Back was a 10.
I think that's meant to be Solid Gold by Michelle, but she's put Solid Gone. Yep, I did Magic, guys.
I think you said you liked that guy's page.
Yes,
right. Brilliant.
Punctuation, people. You're doing these comments with some punctuation.
Hello,
baby.
It's coming, Graham.
Aye.
Support means everything, so thanks, lads. No, it's a pleasure, Jason, honestly. Love watching people dance to this. Eyes shut. And
me too, Michelle. Me too.
She's like, oh no, wait, that's me.
No, that's not.
There you go. There we a couple of.
I love watching. See when we're talking about dancing to bands, like know your dance music, but see like the Northern Soul dancing. I love that, and then see total 60s dancing. Like you see the women in their checkered skirts and all that, and doing their cool dancing you've seen in the 60s videos. The men never really danced as much in the days. I seen a documentary. It was pretty much Saturday Night Fever that get men comfortable with dancing. But that's it. And Light My Fire's that kind of song where, as you say with the dancing, that's that if Tommy DJing, like, you're playing Light My Fire to get that 60s. It's great seeing. I love seeing people dance as if they were in the 60s.
It's great when they just let themselves go, Scott. I know. On a dance floor because they're just loving the music and they don't give a shit who's running about them watching.
This would never work up here, right? It would never work in Glasgow or Edinburgh or that, I don't think. But I stayed in London as well, Jim. Right. And there was one night we decided to go to this club in London near Liverpool Street Station, and it was a club that was a 60s nightclub, and I had in my head that it was going to be like Reflex or something, like a kind of 8, like that kind of. Like I was going to go there and it was going to be like vodka and Red Bull and all that and the jug and stuff like that. But we went to it and it was like actual 60s. The DJ had the vinyl playing the 60s music. It had that vibe. It wasn't cheesy or anything. It was just a really cool club. I don't think it would work here.
I'd love that, man.
60s, and I mean, obviously, Tommy Sweeney does a show and stuff in the 60s. It's just if I ever could time travel, I'd have to land there. It's just a brilliant era for music.
Born in the wrong decade, mate. I was definitely born in the wrong decade.
You put a thing up that last week there, Jim, about your nana, and she was born in like, when was it? In
1934.
Aye, and then my auntie as well. She's 87, and you've got like see that, Jen, and when you're DJing 60s and 70s and all that, see the music that these guys grew up with. They grew up with the introduction of Elvis, Chuck Berry. They had their kind of the Beatles. I know. The movies at the time, see like your film noir movies, your Jimmy Stewart's and all that, like, oh my god, I mean, that's...
I'm talking about going back to producers, and I mean, the producers are the Beatles, the producer Rothschild of the Doors, I mean, it's like man, fucking genius, The next song we come to, obviously, we're just coming to, in a minute, Andy's going to come to The Backdoor Man, but you're talking about producers there, but it's that scene, like Backdoor Man's obviously a cover as well, but like your Howling Wolves and all that. You ever seen the film Cadillac Records? No. Yep.
Oh, you need to watch that film, man. It's all about blues, muddy waters and all that. Oh my god. Is it Etta James? Beyonce plays her. Oh my god. But when I seen that Howling Wolf did a cover, he wrote Backdoor Man. He's in it as well, Howling Wolf. Right. I mean, that's a great film. If anybody's watch Cadillac Records, it's a superb film. Sorry, Andy, when you go.
Light My Fire, Ender, basically, as Tommy says, basically that's where you turn the vinyl. So I'm just going to go through some of the comments. I was a bouncer in London in the earliest times of my life. I've heard some of the stories, man. Oh, Jesus. I'm in there. It was fantastic. I love all music. Good. I'm the same. I mean, I think all music has got its place, and all deserves to have its place. You know, it doesn't matter what genre, what anything. You know. Sorry,
I just blew smoke in your faces there.
That's all right. Jim, I'm going to come to you, mate, because I want to talk a wee bit just about the Ronains in general, and I'm going to play a Ronains track that we've chose. That we've chose Vampire. All right, and I believe this is a follow-up to Another Homeless Affair. Is that right? Aye, just tell us a wee bit about it then. And
so when I was writing it, writing this album, I knew the two people. Johnny Jones, he was a heroin addict, real life guy, and his missus was Lizzie Coyne. She was a prostitute. The two of them met when he was homeless. So the stories created this album, start to finish, true stories. So Another Homeless Affair was our debut film, and it was how these two met in the streets of Glasgow. If you've seen the video, you'll know what it's all about. Well, in real life, Lizzie went with a gangster. He's called Stuart Gillespie. He was murdered a few years ago in Paisley, and I based Vampire Gillespie round about Stuart Gillespie. So the song, in Another Homeless Affair, at the end of it, you see Lizzie Coyne and Johnny Jones get into the flat. Well, the follow-up is Lizzie Coyne's boyfriend or ex-boyfriend getting out of Berlin, Paul Vampire Gillespie, and he's a maniac. And this is all about her trying to get... She needs to get away from him because he's a pimp and he got her into prostitution, and it's quite a powerful video. Obviously, there's a wee bit maybe kind of... She goes to kill herself and stuff like that. So it's a powerful video for us. And Vampire, Debbie Ronains wrote the track. She wrote the track Vampire, and I had the structure to another song. And
it's about time she done something, Jim.
Oh, exactly. And it's not that. Everybody I talk to, I go, "What's your favourite song?" Everybody's like, "Vampire." But it's one of our fans' favourites, and obviously, being in a band, it's maybe something you should have done later on in life, a concept album. But we started with it, So it'll be a grower. A few years' time, I reckon this will be a big album.
What's a grower than I love it.
Let's give it a spin. Well worth it.
Consider yourself uncut, those chains around you broken. I will not be a keeper, I'm not a letter or a token. I will have to lick your wounds, I will no longer tend to your needs. That noose is loose, now go, you're a beast, go breathe, go feast and go breathe. And I'm the light that shines through, and you just can't look away. And I don't want you that bad. Now wait, now wait, now wait, now wait, now wait. Never kept you in shackles, never begged you to stay. I don't want you here this time, so go ahead, go straight. I won't hold you back, no, hold you down. I'm glad you want you serve, and I will watch you drown, will watch you drown. 'Cause I'm the light that shines through, and you just can't break away. And I don't want you that bad. Fly away, fly away, fly away, fly away, fly away. You've lost your affection, there's nowhere to be found. Your body's an empty vessel, and a voice without no sound. Hell doesn't want you, 'cause you got no soul. Can't manage your damage, so go back into your hole, to your home.
Wow, that Jane Godley's in that video. I didn't realise that.
Is that who that is, aye? Oh,
Aye.
I'm just unmuting everybody. Sorry, Tommy. I think you tried to unmute yourself and I'm used to it again.
Well, good judge of character, Andy.
Brilliant,
That's
brilliant song.
That's a brilliant song, brilliant video. Really strong.
It was Tommy. And Jeannie Godley, she was in it, and Susie Maguire's we were saying there. And obviously, I formed the band the Ronains. It was a different spelling, and I was just trying it out for a year. And I was pestering Lindsay Ronain, the drummer you see there, come on. And that was introduction to Lindsay and Sean, obviously. So that was the band. I read a book in Led Zeppelin, and they said when they formed the band and they were in the studio, he knew that was the band. Mm-hmm. Well, I knew that was the band. Do you know what I mean? Because it was if we were meant to meet, but it's I'm just it's an emotional video for me. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to hold it together. But thanks for playing it. Brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant song.
Excellent.
Brilliant. Well deserved. But there's a lot of love coming in for the song as well.
Brilliant.
Just gonna show Jason's obviously not heard for it. It's Scottish band, Jason.
Sure.
As I say, Jim's for partner. Me and Jim go back a long time as well. We kind of grew up together. Jim's slightly, I'm going to give him his credit, he's slightly younger than me.
You say nothing, Andy.
Aye. Well, but when I knew Jim, I never knew that, music was a big part of it. And as Jim will know, I mean, I grew up with some great musicians, and it was fun times. But I never seen Jim, in the music scene. He wasn't into it, and it's just something that he's come into. And fair play to you, you've done well at it. But Jason's also replying to Jim.
He's doing all right.
Brilliant.
So, back to the Doors. All right, track number 7. So on side 2 of the album, as Tommy would say, Life Loves His Final.
Look at it, Andy. Play the other song.
And as Scott said earlier, we're getting with a cover, and it's Backdoor Man.
Brilliant. Love that.
Jim, we'll come to you first, mate.
Okay, right. So, Backdoor Man, as I've been explaining my review before every track I've been talking about, I think Scott touched on it earlier, saying that he was quite a confident guy, Jim Morrison. And obviously, if you've seen the film or you've read any of the books, he didn't see himself as a good singer. To Ray heard him that famous time on the beach and says, "Can you sing a few lyrics?" And he's like, "Wow, man, we need to get a band together." I can see him gaining confidence, Scott, through the album. I can see him at Backdoor Man, and he's fucking oozing the confidence here now because
great vocal.
Great vocal, really, really ballsy. The band's ramped it up, as you're saying. It's a cover. I'll let Tommy explain on that. Whoever. It's a 7 for me. I mean, look, the lyrics, I eat more chicken any man ever seen and all this. I love the vocals. I love the punchiness. Again, I prefer 5 to 1. You know the Doors song 5 to 1?
Yeah.
It's a 7 for me, Scott. It's my least favourite in the album, to be honest.
Okay, that's all right.
Tommy?
Aye, Willie Dixon, Howlin' Wolf, old Delta Blues classic. Have you heard the original?
I have heard the original.
It's totally different. It is an old creepy blues song. But for them, they've kind of made it their own, They've took it and run with it. That's what they say. But I'm the same as Jim. I'm a 7 out of 10 for this song. It's a decent song. Good. After the amazing first half of the record, the second half for me kind of sort of falls into as much as a sameness with it for a few songs. But it's a 7 out of 10 for me, that song.
Scott?
Yeah, see, doing blues covers is quite difficult because if you're doing a blues cover, the first thing you've got to do is tight, and your band's got to be tight. Because you can do blues really bad, and another thing, the singer's got to have the singer's got to sing the blues. He's got to feel the song. He's got to know what it's about. He's got to put his heart and soul into it. So vocally, he's done that. But it's a simple blues track. There's other Doors tunes, bluesy tunes that I prefer, like Roadhouse Blues, for instance. I mean, that's just, they've obviously, it's like everybody in the 60s. The blues was the start of everything.
Yeah.
And I think nearly every album of that genre, somebody said a blues tune in there. Like Exile on Main Street was all blues tunes. It was, and you can actually imagine the Rolling Stones singing that. But I would like to think that Jim Morrison would do is beating Jagger in a vocal in that. I think. Again, I can't. It's a blues tune, and if you're a good musician, like, put it this way: there's guys in bands that get 200 views and 200 streams in Spotify, can do that. So it's a 7 out of 10 for me.
I'm with you, Scott, as well. I'm the exact same. You know, it's a blues track and it's done well. But it came with Robbie Krieger heard. I think it was John Hammond Jr.'s version of it. That they decided they wanted to do it. So, but as I said, I don't understand why they put 2 cover tracks on this. Well, let's say 1.5, because the other one's kind of an interpretation of one. But you know, because they scrapped 2 songs, and one of the songs they scrapped. Give me just 2 seconds. I can't remember what ones it was now, and it was just in the back of my head there.
I'm not sure.
What was it? Midnight California or something like that?
No sure. I didn't know they scrapped 2 songs for it.
So it was Moonlight Drive. That's what it was.
Love
so
that
they scrapped Moonlight Drive, which was amazing. And if you hear Ray Manzarek talks about Moonlight Drive, it was one of the first songs that, or one of the first lyrics that Morrison played to him when he put it on together. You know, so to scrap that, and also Indian Summer they scrapped off this album. These all came obviously later on. Morrison Hotel, I think Indian Summer was in. But the you know, like, it's done well. I gave it a 7. I'm with Scott. You know,
I gave it a 7.
So that's so everybody gave it a 7. So that's 7, 7, 7 divided by 4 is 7. There you go.
Think of what that like
I like doing that. I like doing that. Okay, next tune, Andy.
Come to track number 8. I Looked at You.
Cause it's too late, too late, too late, too late, too late. And we're on our way. No, we can't turn back. Yeah, we're on our way.
Jam.
Great. Okay.
Come to you, mate.
I'm going to get back to Tommy's point in the last song. I thought he got it spot on. First half of this because I'm a huge fan of the Doors. I've got better songs, LA Women, as you're saying, Roadhouse Blues. So Tommy was spot on there. The second half of this album, it just starts to take a wee dive for me. And what, as you said, Andy, they were struggling for songs, original songs. But this one, I Looked at You. I like this song. I love the swing to it. I love the catch to it. It's an 8 for me. Really enjoy the lyrics of the song and the structure as well. But I agree with Tommy. The half of the album, Break On Through, Light My Fire. We're taking a wee. It's as if writing this album, they kind of struggled here, as you say. Moonlight Drive, or will we put this one on? So I think they've kind of just threw these songs in, unsure of. I still like the song. I still love it. It's an 8 out of 10 for me. It gets my head bopping. And
just before you come to Tommy, Andy, see even like the last song, how we gave it all 7s. See in this podcast, a 7's a good score for a song. Do you know what I mean? Like That's kind of, we're going above average. Like a seven's a good solid tune. I think that's I'm right with that, Tommy. In it when we do these, I think we're giving. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, if you want to talk about bad songs, you get down to threes and fours and fives. That's a decent song. So for me, I've written here in my notes that there's not a bad track in this album. I like the up-tempo track. I would love to have seen this live because I think this would be one of the kind of fans' favourites. That when it starts, the bounce starts, the crowd start getting on the back of the tune, and singing along. So I've given it again. It's a solid 7 for me. This song, nice tempo Doors track.
I'll go next because for me, this track wouldn't sit out of place on any other album of this era. Do you know what I mean? Like any other band. But they've done it really well. So you could take, like, say, Tommy, just because you're on, Kinks could do it. The Beatles could do it. And it was one of the tracks where it was that sound of that time. Done well. Done well.
It's a power pop classic song. It's just verse, chorus, middle bit, verse, chorus, end.
Gives you that kind of beach vibe, that kind of.
No, Andy, see when you were playing that, I was kind of doing the kind of surfing, and you're right there. You're totally. That's what I had in my mind, the beach vibe there. So, that's mental. You can say that.
That's what everybody was doing at that time. The 60s beach vibe.
The fucking weight lap, definitely love it.
Get it. Get it. 7, solid.
Brilliant.
Scott.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll just save that, but I'm doing it now.
Bother's terrible, mate. Honestly,
I was 2-0 up. I was 2-0 up there for Ayr United against Barcelona and champ manager. I'm not joking. I looked at you. This was another one. What was the other tune that I was listening to earlier? Soul Kitchen, which was one which grew on me. I looked at you. For me, again, another early 60s sound. This tune, it reminded me. It's the only song on the album, I reckon, maybe apart from what was the one that I said, 20th Century Fox. This was more British sounding, so it was more of that London swinging 60s sound. It had very much Manfred Mann kind of vibe to it. It was as if they got an influence for that, so it was very cool that way. And that part, I just noticed some of that part of which confirmed this for me, that part that you played there, Andy, the Morrison's vocal, he had that kind of McCartney early 60s growl to his vocal. Like McCartney's, you know what I mean with that Paul McCartney, when he does a kind of like Helter Skelter, he does that rock kind of voice, which you think, which isn't like any other rock voice. I think McCartney's rock growl voice is fucking outstanding. Not as good as Lennon's, but really, really cracking. So that's what I get. And it's dead catchy. It's dead. I think Jim had said about the swingy kind of beat and all that. So it's a solid 7. It just wasn't going up to an 8 for me because I felt like that in 20th Century Fox were the kind of, in 20th Century Fox was just a bit better for me than that. But yeah, there you go, 7 out of 10. So that is gives us just talk amongst yourselves while I find the score. 7.25.
I mean, again though, 7.25 is a high score still.
Yes,
and usually we've found, don't get me wrong, mid album there has been, a couple of albums mid album we've gave 5. Like
when we start with the dreaded album track, Andy. That doesn't exist.
That phrase that shouldn't be mentioned anymore, but we banned that comes into play.
Do we know who Mike? Do we know who this guy is?
Mike.
No, but hello, Mike. Thanks for tuning in.
Right, well,
I'd love somebody try to pronounce his second name because I'm gonna. Is it
Griffon?
Right. See this guy here. If you shove his name up, Scott, he plays in one of the best door cover bands in the world.
Does he actually?
I mean, he is. See, if you went to see him, you would believe he was Jim Morrison, Mike. I've seen him in his. I mean, wait to see his Facebook page. Is hundreds of thousands of. He's phenomenal. Wow. Check them out. The Doors Alive, they're called. Absolutely.
Oh, fair to them.
They are brilliant.
Ah,
They are
right.
good.
Yeah, fair to them.
That's Mike. He's phenomenal.
Oh, we're delighted to have you on, Mike.
Aye, brilliant.
Tremendous.
Superstar Mike, absolutely. Seen him at the Barrowland Ballroom. He was.
Keep comment, Mike. Tell us give us feedback. So
Yeah.
that takes us on to song number 9, End of the Night.
End of the night, end of the night, realms of bliss, realms of light, summer haunted sweet delight.
Oh, Jim will
Right.
come off here.
End of the Night, as the album's been made, as Jim Morrison's going on through the studio, in my mind, listening to the song the new, and even in back when I first heard it, I can feel as if the LSD experimental process is ramped right up here. Take it at the End of the Night. I like the song. It's not one of my favourites to the album. Going back to what Tommy said, that the album took a tiny wee dip for me getting into the second half of it. It's not a patch in the crystal ship. I think I gave it a solid 7. So I did this song, Scott. His lyrics are brilliant. It's dreamy. It's not one of my favourites. End of the Night, but still a solid 7 for me.
Brilliant.
Excellent.
Tommy.
Now this song actually predates the Doors, does it not, Andy? This was one of the ones that they demoed for Aura Records right back when before they actually became the Doors as we know it. So it's been a song that's been about for a while. For me, it's just Jim Morrison as the Lizard King, as you would see in the biopic movie, the kind of dreamy LSD adult dreamer. That's what I take from it. That's where he was kind of see his hallucinations and whatever. And for me, that song is probably one of these songs that it's lie back, put the lights off, put the headphones on, and listen to it, and then just see where it takes you. See where that song takes you. I've gave it a 7 because I think it's a great song. Possibly if I had done that experience of putting all the lights off and just listening to it in the headphones at a decent volume, I might have gave it a higher score, but I haven't yet, so it's a 7 out of 10.
Agreed.
Scott, come to you, mate.
End of the Night. So this is one that I was thinking I'm going to hate this. Like this is just one of these. But then what you do is you need to take yourself back to the time it was done, the age of the guys, what was out there to play, what was out there like that. So already you're 67 and you've got a trippy tune like that, which would have been easier to say it was influenced if it was like 77 or 75, where you had already had Sgt. Pepper out, you had like Pink Floyd were coming out and all that, you had that kind of trippiness. So for you to even then say this predated the album, he's done a tune there that would have been 65, 66. Now we talked about Rubber Soul and Revolver being the albums that maybe changed the face of music, where it went for that swinging 60s thing.
Yep.
And then you had Rubber Soul had a couple of tunes in it. Was it Norwegian Wood was in Rubber Soul that kind of was kind of different, and certainly Revolver, which we covered that album. So this to me was kind of ahead of its time. This tune, like, no, that I'm not like it's not my favourite tune because they've got a song like this in the album, which is like a total classic. But it's one of the tunes that if I was a Doors fan, and I was coming in for a night out, absolutely done in, wrecked, and I'm lying on the couch wanting to get to sleep with a helicopter heat, which I always talk about, there's always songs like that. This would be, I'd be playing this first and then I'd get into the 45-minute track that comes later, you know. So, End of the Night, for me, I upped the score, I went to a 7.5.
Wow.
Because that's what I think. I think if MD's watching and there is a song like that at that time when they did it, so I'm saying, I'm reckoning 1965, let us know, because that, to me, I think that type of tune is ahead of its time.
Yeah, brilliant.
So,
Yeah,
I mean,
because I went, because I went for that, I'll need to change the score because I've just upped that just by listening to it again.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that explanation, Scott. And and it's brilliant. It's just a cracking way of describing it. But there's a bit in this song where there's a bit of guitar in it, and it's totally out of tune.
It is.
Right?
Yep.
Totally out of tune with the song, right? I think if you put that in tune with the song, right, it wouldn't sound right. The song wouldn't sound right.
I know,
because it's meant to give that
purpose.
It's giving you that dream, like a wee bit trippy kind of vibe. It's.
But you have to think about it as well. Sorry, there you go.
No. But this is Jim's Morrison's confession that his aims are life, and to end of the night was his aim of speeding up death.
That's that.
Through drugs, and how that he wanted to basically beat peace by being absolutely tatty when he passed away, and in this hallucinogenic state. And this is what this song was about. And to even think about that, you're just like, wow, how dark.
I think we've got to mention as well at 20-year-old the lyrics and some of the lyrics.
That's what I was going to say, Scott. I was going to touch on that. As you're saying, it's a dark song, Andy. That's what I was going to touch on. He's 20-year-old. There's a darkness. There's a darkness in this, Tommy. You can feel it. If you're a Doors fan, you can feel Andy. He's starting to take an obsession with death. It's a dark song for me.
Gives a Ronains tune that you've written that's influenced by it. So when you've written it, or any tune you've written, if you have, that's influenced you, the Doors have influenced Morrison, lyrics, music, or are you taking a wee bit for something? Like,
I've got one of my favourite tracks. It's "Serial Killer" for the Doors, and it's obviously about a serial killer, and it's like kind of Bible John, because it's like the true story, the album. So it takes a highway left. It's the road we fear, and I've kind of took lyrics and inspiration for this album. The horror excites me. I will not lie. It's just that serial killer. Some of the lyrics for Jim Morrison's music are in my song, are influenced by my track "Serial Killer."
I love that.
Debbie's vocals is quite Morrison in it, so...
See quirks like that, Jim, I love all that. See, what am I like, Andy? See every one of your songs, there's a song title in every one of your songs, and I deliberately put it in. Deliberately. And wee things like that, like... So you're influenced by...
Yep.
You've got to put your influences in the song, and I don't think it's wrong to steal a wee bit as well, because you've got to. We can't get into the thing where we think that we better not take a wee bit of that song because we'll get done for it. No, you'll know, right? Because you're not at that level yet, right? So that's how these folk took bits for songs because they thought nobody's going to fucking hear it anyway. So and then it becomes their own song, like, so I think it's great to take wee bits. I was just interested to know, because you're very lyrical, you're very storytelling in your tunes, and so I always wondered where you got that for, whether it was obviously Morrison, but are you into Dylan and things like that, Bruce Springsteen?
I love Dylan, and it's a fan of the band, the Ronains, Stuart Finlay. He kept telling me to get into Bruce Springsteen, but I couldn't get into it. And I was telling my story. I've moved all over. I've been in Ireland and London, and I just moved again. I just kind of settled. And he was talking about Thunder Road. I never heard Bruce Springsteen's Thunder Road 2 years ago. And then the family that lived in Baltimore, they put us up, and he was talking to me about Bruce Springsteen. And I've got a wife and kid in Baltimore, Jack. Mm-hmm. Took a ride and I never came back. And Bruce Springsteen knew I'm on fire. Now I'm just getting Bruce Springsteen. I start to see that Thunder Road. You ain't a beauty, but hey, you're all right. The lyrics, fucking hell.
See, Springsteen, honest to God, man, I've got he's I'm going to tell you something now, and this is apt. It's Mother's Day today, right?
Yep.
Write this down and get your headphones on and listen to it when you get home. You're home anyway. It's called The Wish by Bruce Springsteen, and I swear to God, it's like, see, every time I listen to it, it takes me back. There's a line in it where because Springsteen's like an author.
Of course.
When you read a book, he sets the scene. So there's a lyric in the song The Wish where he's setting the scene of him lying in his bed as a wee boy while his mum's getting ready for her work, and he can hear the hairdryer going and the clatter of jewellery and the perfume getting like, and that took me back to when I was a wee boy and I was getting up for school, and that was the sound that I knew, fuck, I better get up now, there's a hairdryer on. And music to do that, but not just that, see the melody of the song, the storytelling of it. And if you go into it on Spotify or iTunes, it's part of his live show that he does where
I've seen that, I watched that.
He tells the story first about the song and then he sings it. So it's called The Wish, Bruce Springsteen. You'll love it.
But you're talking about lyrics. I mean, I'm all about lyrics. That's why when people when the guy Feck on the Bunnymen Simple Minds now heard the lyrics, he said, you should get into a band. I didn't know why I'd be in a band, as Andy said. It wasn't an interest in me. Mm-hmm. But see that Bruce Springsteen, the screen door slams, Mary's dress sways. Uh-huh. My mum's called Mary. Mm-hmm. That just took that. I mean, I was kind of crap. I was not ashamed to say it. The tears were running down my face with Thunder Road because you think that you ain't young anymore. We'll show a little faith. There's magic in the night. You ain't a beauty, but hey, you're all right. Mm-hmm. Man, the tears were streaming down my face. That's what music does to me.
So that's the thing. That's somebody you've just got into. So that's you're gonna use that, and like that's just gonna help you as a songwriter. And I mean, he's in the E Street Band. Tommy, what are they? I mean, did you seen the YouTube clip where they did You Never Can Tell off the cuff?
Mm-hmm. No. Yep. Somebody did a banner or something. Was it or somebody shouted, play that? And they just went. They looked at each other and went 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they went. You never can tell. Just
watch that, Jim.
Amazing musicians.
Brilliant.
Sorry, Andy, we're going off track there.
It's all right. A couple of comments there. Just Mike saying thanks means a lot.
Legend.
Jason's big shout out to Mike. Laura Campbell. All right, Jim.
All right, Laura.
Debbie saying hi to Laura. I'm influenced by Old Scottish Raven translator on.
Jason, go into BBC iPlayer and go to categories at the top and go to Scotland, and there's a thing called Tune, and it's we 25-minute documentaries about Scottish bands and all that, but there's a thing on it about the origins of Bits and Pieces. Absolutely, I watched it that night there. It's absolutely brilliant where that song came from and how the guy that produced it, he's just a producer, how like he couldn't believe that it's taking this. I mean, it's a bohy rap in the national anthem for Scotland. But anyway, so that's watch that BBC iPlayer.
To touch on Jason,
is fantastic.
To touch on Jason there, if you're listening, Jason, I'm a huge rave fan and trance. The Judge Jules nights, Inside Out nights at the Arches, I was there. But I've recently been listening to Ultrasonic again, and
my wife was a dancer for Ultrasonic, Jim.
Oh, wow. The Ultrasonic, though, Obsession, and just...
Obsession, true.
Brilliant, man. True. Absolutely brilliant.
We went into Indie and Love Oasis and the Verve on cassette tapes. Brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant.
Okay.
The video of Boss Dream Baby. Dream is brilliant. So
I recently got into one where I think I just heard it was his wife. It's called Human Touch with Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Mm-hmm. Brilliant, man.
Mm-hmm. Right, Jim. Right, so we're nearly at the end.
Oh, buzzing for the end.
Nearly. The end of the album. So, song number 10. Take it as it comes.
Take it easy, baby. Take it as it comes. Don't put you down. And you want your love to last.
I love that visual. It just shows you that any band can play underneath a staircase or something like that, man, at one point. Do you know what I mean? But aye, Jim, we'll come to you first, mate.
Love it. Love the song. I get mixed up when I was doing the scores tonight, and I'd put a 10 through for this, but I thought that was another one. So, first of all, the song it's an 8. It's an 8 for me. I think they ramp it up a wee bit more. The album's pulled you straight back in, because I thought we took a wee bit of a dive, like Tommy touched on. Take It As It Comes. It's, fantastic. Good driving song. Morrison's lyrics again, he's starting to really, the structure's starting to push you back up for the final crescendo at the end. If you listen to this album, because there's people maybe not heard the full album, I think the boys hopefully will agree at the end of it. This is a must-listen album. That's from Kurt Cobain to Noel Gallagher to Dave Grohl to Hollywood actors. Take It As It Comes is an 8 for me. I love the song, but it just brings you up nicely for what's coming next.
No, perfect. Tommy.
Yes, just exactly what Jim said there. Brilliant upbeat track. But for me, the thing that takes it away is the keys. The keys going through it, and the wee solos and all that. Just amazing, absolutely amazing keyboard. And as I said to you, Andy, before we started, I've heard Arnie playing some of this Doors stuff when we're sitting in the studio waiting for the rest of the boys to arrive. See when you see a really good keyboard player playing that stuff, and you see what's involved in it, it blows you away. So it's an 8 out of 10 for me with this one. Brilliant song.
I've probably done this a wee bit injustice here. I've gave it a 7. It goes back to my comments on I Looked At You. You know, I think that this one is again a track that could be done by another band and still sit in the album. Do you know what I mean? But Tommy's spot on what he's saying. And that's maybe why I've done it a bit of injustice, because some of the key sections on this is just like wow, you know. And the song was about basically accepting life at your own pace, and was dedicated to, who was it dedicated to, Tommy?
Don't know, mate. I forgot to write it down.
Oh, what? It was a Maharishi.
Oh, there we go.
So it was Yogi, Maharishi Yogi, same one as the Beatles.
Aye.
You know? So it was to do with them, and nicknamed obviously the Giggling Guru, because every time he was on telly, all he did was giggle. You know, so it was all based on, you know, what life gives you, accept your, you know, live life at your own pace, all that kind of thing. So Take It As It Comes was what inspired that, you know, and it was all to do with meditation and things like that. And, you know, it's just amazing, you know. And then I gave it a 7. It's still not a bad score, but I think I've done it a wee bit injustice, because Tommy's just reminded me the keys on this are actually really
phenomenal.
Amazing.
Scott.
I'll just change my score for Jim there that he changed. So that going back to me, this was like the start of the album. Break On Through. That's what I heard.
Yep.
And it was because we were talking earlier about the Alien Comes Down. And obviously you've got the famous tune, Break On Through. This is get the Doors written all over it, and the reason it is because of the organ, piano.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
It lifts this song, and I thought I was going to listen to this album, and every song was going to be overpowered by this fucking this piano, like, but. When you actually look at the Doors' back catalogue and other hits, if you were to get their greatest hits, it doesn't overpower every song. It's a nice subtle difference. When that's been used before in tunes, it was used to bring in the circus and all that, like, you know, and he's used it as an instrument in one of the best fucking bands in the world. In fact, it gives them their sound. Every band's got a sound. Like I'm a big INXS fan, and INXS that riff that they do Need You Tonight's, and pretty much 70% in excess songs, so they've got their sound. The Slash guitar licks and his tone for Guns N' Roses, that's their sound. The Doors have got their sound. Zeppelin, like his tone and the sound. Do you know what I mean? And it makes the. When I wrote that down, I was thinking about the Beatles, but the Beatles definitely had the sound. The Beatles experimented for 65 onwards, so they can invented things that weren't there before. But definitely the Beatles early 60s they had that sound. So basically what I'm saying is this confirms that the organ gives the Doors that their own unique sound. You know, it's the Doors straight away. I'd never heard the song before, and that's what it meant to me. If it's just an instrumental, so I gave it I'm delving too deep into the song, but I'm trying to show how I'm giving it a 7. It's a 7 out of 10 for me.
Perfect.
So that's 7.5 out of 10.
Fair enough.
Magic. Now, like, just before we do this, man, I would love to play this song in its entirety, but we're never ever going to be able to do that. You know what I mean?
I know.
I'm just going to play it, and then we'll come to it, because it's just blows my mind.
This is the end, my only friend, the end of our elaborate plans, the end of everything that stands, the end.
Well, another 15 minutes to go.
Just well, it's only 11 minutes 35. Do you know what I mean? We can get away with that, Scott. Could we not? Honestly, only if, man. Only if. Right, Jim, we'll come to you first, mate.
Right, okay. So, if you're into the Doors, Jim Morrison thought a shame it took him over Indian, and that's the death rattle you hear at the start. The rattle of that Indian. And this song, when I first heard it, I didn't really get it like I get it tonight. It's I was saying to you, it's life, it's death, it's falling in love. It's a dark, dark song, and I get it now more than ever. The Apocalypse Now film and the Vietnam War, it's horror. The song's horror, but it's absolutely magical, and it just means so much to me as a song. And you're thinking of an album, lads, to that break on through, to this creeping up at the end. It's absolutely mesmerising. It's a solid 10 out of 10 for me, because even I keep mentioning Shawnee Scott, and he sadly passed away in 2019. Lost his battle with mental health, and it's so powerful. So the Doors, after listening to it, after hearing it at 11, right up into 2021 now, there's new meanings to this band. And from start to finish, I walked on down the hall and I came to a door, and I love how he sings, I took the highway west, baby. Well, that's where I took that lyric from, Scott, and Serial Killer. She takes the highway west, it's the road she'll fear kind of thing, but the end, guys, the end is it's so powerful for me, honestly. It's fucking mesmerising. 10 out of 10. I wish we could have heard the lot of it. Brilliant.
Scott?
Brilliant.
Oh, sorry, Tommy, I'll come. Sorry, Tommy, mate.
All right, Andy. No, it's all right. I'm no precious, pal. Whoever wants to go next. I've got a wee tagline on my radio show that says, taking you on a musical journey. This song takes you on a musical journey. Yeah. And I wish I could go all Spinal Tap on you, because some songs go to 10, but this one goes to 11. Mm-hmm. That's just how good this song is. It's just wow. There's long songs out there that will just transport you somewhere else. Yep. This song takes you to wherever you want to go. Another one for me is Lynyrd Skynyrd's Freebird. It's about 13 minutes long as well, because the guitar just comes in and goes in and keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. But this, it's theatre, it's music, it's poetry, It gets into your head. It takes you a place. It's just utter. I wrote here in my notes, epic masterpiece number 2 in this album. That's just the only way I could explain it. It's just epic. Where did that come from? I mean, it sounds like it would have to be a jam. It would have to be something a jam, like one of these kind of, as you said earlier, Jim. When Jim goes, the band follow. So this whole thing is probably came from him on one of his mad acid trips, and I think they listened to it as full of acid when they recorded it as well.
He was absolutely
it. So
that's a good shout. It's a great shout.
But
brilliant, love
that. Would you call it just when you said that quote there, Tommy? I don't know if you've seen the quote I put up with the promo was from. I started getting into my rabbit holes again, as you do, and I started watching loads of different documentaries about the Doors,
Russian brides,
all that kind of stuff. Aye,
is that the one you said to me on?
Aye. And you know, if the band was the fairground art, then Morrison was the estranged trapeze artist, you know, and it just like, you know, it just got me. I was like, what? Spot on. He was the estranged person, you know. He was absolutely on LSD when he recorded this.
Yeah.
And basically he'd said that Krieger had turned around and says, look, it says it worked for the song, brilliant, but we need to call it a day here, because he says he was declining. He was going downhill.
Yep.
Morrison thought different. He had different ideas. So they all left the studio. Morrison sneaked back and absolutely doused all their equipment with a fire extinguisher.
Right.
So he doused all their equipment with a full fire extinguisher. And he just, because he was so pissed off, because he just wanted to finish the song. But they went back in and finished it. But absolute masterpiece. From one of my favourite Scottish films, A Poke of Chips Now, you know.
Oh, aye. Hey!
You know, but
you waited all night for that, hadn't you?
I have, I had that lined up, you know. But the Scottish face.
I've never seen it.
What, Apocalypse Now?
Oh, I thought you said A Poke of Chips Down. I'm like, what the fuck's that?
A Poke of Chips Now.
A Poke of Chips Now.
That's the Scottish version now.
He's on the gather.
And
can you imagine that, Tommy? Can you imagine that played live, Scott? All the light at the end of the show, the lights are way down, and that's starting. Can you imagine that?
But it also takes. I mean, if you watch like with the film as well, that bit of the film, you've got the Indians on the boot, and they're all like that, and they've got the half, and you can see half the face. And they've got the wee thing they're running as that bit's going on, and it's all in time. You're just like, oh man, genius. 10.
Yes, loved it.
10.
That's the whole thing for the Doors. So it came for having a trip, because it's so the perception and bringing in new ideas and allowing things in, and it. It's just for their name onwards. It's like this is just one trip.
Do you think if they never used the name The Doors, there would have been a band called The Doors later?
I don't know.
Think somebody would have took that name? Like, would you have?
It came from a novel though. The Jim Morrison, The Doors of Perception.
I think. Is it a band called The Windows, The Bricks, the Knobs, The Roof?
I know the Knobs.
There's plenty of bands called the Knobs.
Brilliant, man.
The Kitchens. Right, okay, aye. It's so you've pretty much said everything I've said. This is a masterpiece because it's like a theatre. It's his it's like his Bach Mozart symphony type thing. I don't know. Maybe I don't know if anybody said that, but aye, it is. It reminds me of Vietnam because of that film. It reminds me of like it reminds me. You listen to it and it's like pain.
Oh, it's dark.
And see at the end, of the day, they're 20 years old.
That's what I mean, Scott.
Like this is music.
Hey, Tommy.
It just got. What you've got to remember is that, like, see the Who when they come out with something like their masterpiece, the Tommy, right? The rock opera and all that stuff. They had been gone for nearly 10 years,
Right.
before they come up with that. This is a
debut
debut
album.
This is the
But
first.
that Baba O'Reilly, you know, that kind of the Genius tunes. But this was their first album. So they and it's very clever. They have this is an album that we can definitely say this week that they strategically placed songs where they did, because they've hit you with Break On Through at the start, in the middle of the song, just to get you Light My Fire, and then at the end they hit you with the end, and then in between they've kind of like get like I gave it an 8. I was So Kitchen, I gave it a 9, but 20th Century Fox gives it a wee lift. And then in the next side, like Backdoor Man, they obviously did that because at that time, although we gave it 7s, at that time that was a popular cover. Like so, that's like folk are going to like that. So anyway, right. So that's let's see how we all scored the album. So Andy, you scored the album 8.19 out of 10. So really high score. Tommy, you scored the album exactly the same as Andy, 8.19 out of 10. Jim, you scored the album 8.82 out of 10. And I scored the album 8.01 out of 10. So there you go. So that's a high. So that's very high. This album's going somewhere. So let me see what we're. So we add the Pop Vortex score to it, and the Pelikan Podcast album score is 8.97. Wow. Right, let's see where that is in my chart, and what we'll do is I'm going to play this and do the chart with this in the background.
What's that?
So this is Ronains doing Serial Killer.
Yep. I could have took it's quite like the end. No, I can attach on it, but I've took the influence.
Yeah. Okay then, while Debbie's singing, let's see what the chart is.
Yeah, I've got a brilliant night. Absolutely brilliant album.
So Heathen Chemistry still 34, The Man Who 33, Erratic Cinematic 32, Love, Death and Dancing 31, Simple Minds, Sparkle and Rain 30, Duran at 29, 7 The Ragged Tiger, Police Regatta de Blanc, that's your album, Tommy, at 28, and Eventide by the Faith Brothers 27. 26, Debbie's album, The State of Things. 25, Moby Play, Bring the Horizon. 24, Post-Human Survival. Iggy Pop's Lust for Life's at 23, Blackberry Smoke, Whippoorwill at 22, Invisible Band 21, Run the Jewels, Audrey did that the other week there, 4, RTJ4's at 20, Exile in Main Street at 19, and 18 is Together Alone. Jagged Little Pill 17, Turnstiles Billy Joel 16, Metropolis Part 2 for last week's at 15, Lauryn Hill Miseducation 14, Arctic Monkeys Whatever People Say I Am Not is at 13, Is This It 12, In Excess 11, U2 The Joshua Tree at 10, Thriller Michael Jackson 9, Let It Be by the Beatles at 8, Nevermind at 7. It's in the top 6.
Yeah, next night.
6 The Bends, 5 Appetite for Destruction, 4 What's the Story More Than Glory, 3 The Doors, 2 Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and 1 Revolver. So Revolver.
It would have been nice if it split up the two Beatles albums.
Yeah. So what I was going to say there is Revolver. I'll just. You can hear that, Jim, in that song.
Can you hear it?
Aye.
Even the
That's a
tambourine.
brilliant song.
That's one of my personal favourites of the Ronains. But,
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
You
So
know,
Revolver 9.54. That's the top there now. Sergeant Pepper is a 9.39. The Doors 8.97. What's the Story of Morning Glory 8.96.
great album.
So it's so it's very close.
They
Very
deserve
close.
it. And that's it. I mean, 50 years. This band, as we're talking about, they only went for 5, 6, 7 years. Wow, Scott. What? And as you guys say, we're still LA Women, Roadhouse Blues. Still big, huge, better songs out there for them.
Yeah.
They really enjoyed it.
I'm trying to find this same song that Jason had.
I was just saying, I was about to say that to Jim. It was good to see the new Hellfire
Got it.
Club there again. That was a brilliant wee place.
Brilliant.
Many a record in there up the hidden lane.
Guys,
I'm
were
not going to
brilliant.
get the Icebox right enough yet, but hopefully I'll get once the
Icebox is a great venue, Tommy. Really great venue.
doing great stuff. So it was good
Aye,
to see that wee place again.
So what's your final thoughts tonight, Tommy, on the album?
What an album! What an album! This is just it's great, and it was great to go back to it. As I say, I hadn't heard it for a long time. It's something I'd probably go to every now and again, but pick the hits again, you know.
Yep.
But listening to the whole album through, it's one that, I mean, I've been lucky enough because I'm working from home. I'm working in this wee office. I've got my decks here. I can just throw albums on and listen to them in their entirety. So it's great that I can do that. Good with albums like that I can go back to and know that was a great one. I'll put that back on. No, thanks very much, Jim, for bringing that to the podcast.
Jim, what we're going to do is I'm going to play this Riders in the Storm remix for Daz Scott. Now, I'm just going to play it. I'm going to play about a minute of it, a minute or two. But while we do that, Tommy, do you want to ask your Tommy Clark question to Jim?
Tommy Clark question to Jim. Okay, Jim, the Ronains are the headline act at your dream gig. I will need 3 support acts. You can pick anybody alive, dead. You can reform them. We can even, if he is dead, dig up Jim Morrison and bring the Doors to support you. We need 3 support acts and a venue for your dream gig, my friend. So have a wee think of that while we've listened to this track, and we'll come back to you.
Brilliant.
Okay, guys, I'm just going to get a wee overlay to play to put on top of us while this is on. Here we go then. So this is Riders in the Storm, and it's the Daz Scott remix. It's a free download on Spotify. Just search for Daz Scott Riders and it'll come up. So here we go. This is a dance version of Riders in the Storm by a local dance DJ producer and a friend of one of our Pelikan floor, Jason Currie, tonight. So here we go.
Riders on the Into this house we're born, into this world with dawn.
Yes, love that.
Like a dog without a bone, an actor out alone. Riders on the storm. Riders on the storm. Riders on the storm.
Yeah, having that does, Scott, absolutely brilliant. Having that all day long, I love all that shit, man. Honest to God.
Scott, you're right on that. That's in your next set for when we go back.
No, do you know what I love? Like you know, Andy. I'm like, I think I've said to Jason before. I'd love to get remixes done. Like that the Anchor Lane tune we do. Like, is there any tunes you do, Jim, that you would like somebody to just take and do a remix?
Aye, well, there is. I'd like Vampire, because Vampire's got an electronic kind of pop middle eight part. But, if I had to pick one, I would go for that. We do one called Born and Bred Glasgow Red. I think could be pretty cool, but the kind of Jerry Cinnamon Belter thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and get something like that done. It's in my plans.
Right, Andy. Let's see what Jim's. Yeah.
Just before we go, would you review the Stone Roses, Jason? If you want to come on, we'll review the Stone Roses.
Yeah, man.
Just drop Scott a message, Jason. Welcome on anytime, mate. Honestly.
Great band.
There's a link.
But if he doesn't check it coming, we've got to wait 6 years to do
it. There's a link as well for the SoundCloud for Leaders of the Storm there. Paul, good night, guys. Great night.
Nice to see you, Paul.
Stay safe. You too, Paul. Nice of you to drop in tonight, and hope you keep on watching the next ones. You know, brilliant.
Nice to see you, Jason.
I would love to remix a Jim's track.
Let's talk, man. Let's talk. Definitely.
There you go, Jason.
Fucking ask you first.
I know.
Jim's songs are good.
But no. Right, so you've had the minute or two to think, Jim.
Right. Okay.
Give us your Tommy Clark question.
Okay. It was a hard one for the venue because I played a great venue. You would absolutely fucking love this venue. It was in Philadelphia. It's called The Fire. You've probably seen me mention it.
Yeah.
My Chemical Romance, they all the top Nirvana, they've all played it. And it's just, and when you get it's a grunge venue. You see the history, but it's not the Barrowland Ballroom. And that's my venue. That's my favourite venue of all time. Only because when you go, I've been lucky to play it twice. And it's the history. It's the smell. And just the bands. It's
looking up at the stars, isn't it, Jim?
Oh,
looking up at the stars when you've been looking at them for a different direction. It's amazing that see the amount of people I've asked this question, Scottish musicians, and the amount of times the Barrowlands is taken as the venue. It is unbelievable. It's probably 80% of the time I ask the question it's the Barrowlands.
Because it made Simple Minds, it's made the Waterboys. It's as if you're up there and it's going to make you or break you. Do you know what I mean, Scott? It's but anyway, that's my venue.
No, I fucking don't know what you mean.
Hopefully
One day,
we'll get there.
Right. I would have Nirvana to open because I like Nirvana. I like that early mad fucking kind of grungy sound, and then I loved his acoustic stuff. So I'd have Nirvana. I would then have Oasis because I love Oasis. Just Oasis, man. As I say, I've never had a band yet that. I went to London Wembley twice to see them in the back of a transit. Just fucking brilliant, man.
Aye.
Yeah, there's not.
At least we've had a band like that, Jim, haven't we? We've had our generation. We've had a band that you followed like you were a supporter. You know, you followed home and away, ken that kind of.
Aye. You had to make the effort, Andy. When the CD was coming out. I like to tune up and all that. I like that. Anyway, my third band would be The Doors. I just love this tonight and going through the tracks was brilliant. When we go to America, and I done it last night actually with Debbie Ronains. We sat for 2 hours and we went through songs. Now, when I was in Baltimore, I'll not keep yous. It was 7:30 in the morning, and me and the guy Andrew Fallon, we'd bought a Buckfast each at 7:30, and we sat for 2 hours. He had a cinema room, and he introduced me to a flock of seagulls. I'd never heard of them. Bruce Springsteen, and I introduced him to stuff. I'd never heard of John Mayer, believe it or not. And so that was, I love doing that, Tommy. I'd love in the lockdown just to sit in a room with some Buckfast and whatever and have a marathon of you saying, this is my song, this is mine. You know what I mean? But that's me. Nirvana, Oasis, and the Doors in the Barrowland Ballroom. It's magical.
What a gig that'll be.
Tommy, just a wee quickie, right? Because I've just noticed with the diary, right? We've got a free week, no next week, but the week after. We've got Kodak Ghost Zone next week, and then the next week we've not got anything. So see that Doors sign that you've got, Doors 1967 on your shelf, right? See how you've got your 2 sets of albums, and there's like there's an ornament splitting the 2 of them. See the album fifth for the left, whatever it is. Let's see it and we'll review that. I don't know what it is.
This might be bad.
Right, let's see what it is. The 5th one for the left.
This is going to be bad.
No, the top shelf.
Top shelf, full of pornos.
So the 5th one for the left.
Actually, that's not too bad.
What is it?
It's the House Martins, the people who grind themselves to death.
Right, what's it called?
The House Martins.
Beautiful South.
The people who grind themselves to death. It was their second album.
Brilliant. I was listening to that last night. Brilliant.
Right, we're going to get folk on. We're going to invite folk on and we'll review that.
Brilliant.
All right.
I'd love if folk would just come on randomly. So we just put the link out for the podcast and say if you want to come on, just come on.
Aye. We can get up to 10.
You can get up to 10 folk on at the same time.
Aye.
Definitely.
I'm just trying to upload a tune here, but I might just play it off the Buckfast party it is, Jason's saying. And I'm well Dave. The podcast.
Dragon soup, Jason. Dragon soup. I don't drink Buckfast, so it's dragon soup. You want one of them?
In Pelikan Rogue, we drink Pelikan Rouge coffee. So if you ever want a coffee,
good stuff. But what an album! I mean, what a band! And
what a night!
That's a great gig. A great gig that would be.
So I'm going to play out the night with a song that we started the show with, but I'm going to play the full song, obviously. Fun Time Frankie. And I mean, this takes us back because we were sitting in the studio in Govan. Remember? We were talking about this.
Remember?
And, you know, when he said about this, and he let us hear about it, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. This is brilliant. You know, and it was good. And
what's it like? I watch Open Goal podcast all the time. I watch the Coopman show. And what's he like with the Frankie boy? Is he a good laugh?
Aye, Frank's amazing. When he's a real comedian. Once you get to meet him, you'll love him. Him and Andy Gore. Andy Gore was brand new as well, and the two of them hit off each other with the Celtic Rangers thing. So the two of them are diehards. Great guy, really nice.
I've met Andy Gorham drank in the central. It was the Burns. Hugh Burns had the pub in Prestwick, and Andy Gorham come down a lot. So I've been in his company a few times, and he's an alright guy. Kenny, he's got a lot of time for folk. Yeah,
he has. I've met a few. And through Frank, I've became friends and the band. Not me, the band with James McFadden, Big Lee McCulloch, Scott Simon Dornley. We know them all well. Brilliant guys.
That's really good. Well, they'll help punt this Flower of Scotland thing as well.
Well, that's a plan. That's a plan, Tommy. Already. Already trying to fucking say to them, but we've got big ideas for Flower of Scotland. Fingers crossed. It's a fucking who knows, mate. Who knows?
So
in my favour.
It's been a pleasure tonight.
Yes,
talking music, especially talking the Doors.
Wow,
great album. I think it merits being up there. I even think it possibly merits being a wee bit higher and split the two Beatles albums.
Right, I agree.
You know,
I definitely agree.
It's genius. is all I can say about it. But have you enjoyed it tonight, Jim?
I've absolutely loved it, and I mean, this is a great. I've loved the podcast. Debbie Ronains absolutely loves it as well, as does the band. Just on the Doors thing though, because it's you're in a band, you get it. Tommy's a music man all his life. Scott, you've touched on it. 20-year-old, listen to that debut album, Tommy. It's 20-year-old, and when you see the film and you see the producer and the director looking at each other, because it's fucking unbelievable, Andy. Fucking, but that's what the Doors has always done to me, and we're still on the.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved listening to the Doors, and I loved. I always look at what they did next, and then like every next album had a couple of belters on it. But as you say, there's not a better tune. In fact, see LA Woman's in one of my top 10 tunes of all time.
You take
Scott, we done a version of Riders of the Storm as well.
Aye, we did that shit. That was an acoustic set, wasn't it? Riders of the Storm.
Seen anybody do it,
We've
Andy?
done a version, a wee bass and guitar version.
Wow.
So,
Wow. In fact, Jim, have you got 25 minutes?
There to see if this if I've got it.
Brilliant.
Is it in tune?
Oh fuck! I forget how to play it.
Is it in tune?
Brilliant.
Hold on.
Oh, what was it again?
Whoa, Animal. Nah, Tommy, it's been great tonight.
Aye.
Really great.
I love this. The only thing is, it's like somebody's have got to get up in the morning and go to their work. Know what I mean?
I know, that's it.
It's the thing is, we always say, let's try and keep it down to 2 hours, and then you get to like 3.5 hours.
Of course. But
See when music guys are talking about music, you just keep going. You keep talking.
I just guitar. I'm just with mine done. Too
late, Andy.
Too late, Andy. I'm up for it, man. I'm up for it all night. I'm up for it.
Once we're back in the normalness, we're going to have a Pelikan Podcast gig with the guests. We're going to hire a venue and just get everybody together and play a gig, and we'll do the live stream and all that, and we'll do that.
Here's a shout out. We've got a couple of we've got some great gigs coming up, but we through Dragon Soup, we're trying to book our biggest gig to date, and it'll be for kind of April 2022. So we're going to give you boys a shout. So
tremendous!
It'll be exciting again. The Hard Rock Cafe stuff was great. So
that was a brilliant gig.
That was great.
That was good fun because you put a lot into that. So you like your promo for it, your support acts, your
it was a great thing.
We were up and got our photos taken, and then we got there, and then there was that lassie Bev was doing the live interviews and all that for the Daily Record. It was brilliant. I love it.
That was a crack night, man. It was a good vibe, and it was always.
Was Andy?
I've still got all the photos from it, and
some crowd, man, for you going on, fucking brilliant.
That photo that we had at the beginning, me and Scott, was from that gig.
Brilliant, man. Fantastic. Let's do it again. Tommy, you saying ending this or whatever, the Doors, Jim Morrison, it was all about the art. I don't think he'd have been lying in his bed going, Tommy, I wonder if 100 people have come, and it was just about the music. You know?
See, I always worried, Jim, right, to be a guest on, I always worried about all that, like you go to a gig and there's maybe only like 10 folk there and all that, and I used to worry about it. But we had Ian McKinnon on for the Medicine Men.
Sure.
And they are one of my favourite, they're one of my favourite bands, right? Never mind they're from Scotland or I know the guy, but he said that he was so humble. He said to me that, he said to us in the podcast, see him trying to get folk to go to a gig. It's unbelievable, and he just does it for the love. And see, because he's done it for the love, he's just had a Tenants advert there. You know, the Tenants have just used one of their songs. And see if you're just, and sure at the start, Andy, I was like, oh, don't fucking play there. There's only going to be 10 folk there. And Andy's the kind of, Andy's the guy that's got the hook that kind of fucking pulls me back in. Ken that way, like you need somebody like that in the band. Like I sometimes go, oh no, and he's like, fucking calm down, you. And you kind of need that kind of thing. But when you hear folk like that, and you hear yourself talking and everything, it kind of in Denny's podcast, you take wee bits for it, you know.
What you do.
And it's just a pure love. It's just a total love for doing what we're doing, isn't it? Who cares?
Definitely. When we went to America for the second time, we went back to the same couple of the same bars, New York and the Philadelphia one. But I was talking to a music manager just a couple of weeks ago on the Skype, and I mean there was 27 people came, Tommy, to see us in Philadelphia, and some had travelled a couple of 20 mile with a t-shirt on. It was only 27 people, but it'll be done in my lifetime. What an honour, Andy. 20 people.
If you look at it another way, 27 people came to see you in Philadelphia.
That's what I mean.
I mean, there's times when you can't get 27 folk to go to Presswick.
That's what I mean.
Jim, the thing is, you go to that press fest in the Buff, right? We've played there, right, and it was mobbed. You couldn't move, right? But see, when we were playing, it's at the back door. We're up there playing, there's folk fucking walking in and out to the beer garden, and like, you're just like, fuck me, man, this isn't.
I'm the into it.
Aye, and that's all right, and I'm like that. That's all right then. That's all right. So then it's up to you to do something that makes them turn, you know. And then when I did do that, but was it 6 months ago in the jail for putting my trousers down? So I'm not going to do that again.
Well, the thing is, it's like when I say Gordy Gowdy, I mean he's played alongside Noel Gallagher. He's done Glastonbury. He's a legend throughout Glasgow, and it was him. He came to see us a couple of times. He's one of the shit, but the show was shit. You know, it's a show. He's coming to see the show. He's no what. So we started fucking walking on in the dark with Himalayan monks humming, and man, it's been working, to be honest. Do you know what I mean? So you just have to be a slightly different. Everybody's got a. Look at Jerry Cinnamon. I couldn't believe he'd been gone for like 20 years.
Aye.
With the band The Cinnamons, and they quit twice, man. There's an inspiration for anybody. If you like him or not.
Aye. He's worked hard at it. Your thing with Gordy Gowdy's the same way as with JP Reid. Like it's somebody that like, you know what it's like when you're on stage and you come after everybody's like, that was fucking brilliant. That was brilliant. See, JP Reid will be like that. It'll be like that to me. You struggle a bit in that tune there. Like he's maybe did it a bit fast, and then we take that. Like, right, thank fuck somebody said something. So we then go and work on that, don't we? You need.
You learn more. You learn more. Somebody telling you the things you can improve on.
It's funny, right?
Slapping your back and just going, "Oh, yous are amazing."
Oh, definitely, I hate it, Tommy.
Aye, somebody coming up to you and saying, "Look, you need to calm that down." I've had it before. Folk coming up and going, "Right, you need to calm that down," because nobody wants to hear you battering around about it. When I was younger, obviously, I can't do it. No fit enough for it. But battering around about a drum kit for a whole gig, nobody wants to listen to that. I'm no Keith Moon. Nobody really wanted to listen to it with Keith Moon. No, I mean, see when you actually take it back a bit and play the rhythms properly and get better accents and whatever, it's so much better. And somebody says, "Well, I seen you 10 years ago and you're much better now than you were then." I mean, it's much better.
It's funny you say that, Tom, because I remember when we first started playing as a band, if you played the wrong note, they're like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" So, you know, it's like a joke, right? You can hear it. It's like, you can't exactly who it is. It's like,
you're talking about. We supported the Scouting for Girls. We're supporting Scouting for Girls, right? But we supported them, and that boy's story. 10 years, Scott. 10 year we not a whiff. And then he was telling us he had 3 hits in the 1 year, Tommy. But 10 year what the fuck are we doing? This is pointless.
I just tanned 3 bits of chuddy at the last time there, and I forgot that's what I mean.
I've heard that name for a while, Chuddy. Love it. But been a great night.
Yeah, great to have you. Brilliant. Always good.
Guys. Always great to be your company, and great to see you again, Tommy. Love you,
Jim. Right, Andy, let's get this tune on. Come on.
Let's play out. Fun time, Frankie. Let's do
Yay.
it. Have a good night, lads. Good night, everybody.
Brilliant, man.
Good night, folks. See you next week.
Fun time, Frankie.
Brilliant.
Thank you. All the best, Frankie.
You'll find me in the clubs and bars, designer clothes and flashy cars, the brasserie in Oranmore, sexy women, gangster galore, robotic dancers, all rich chances, slender thighs, but the beady eyes are all on me. But that's how I live, a ladies man, I'm kind of a hit. My money ain't mine, I skip from the top. It's fun time, I ain't looking for love. Yeah, I've been here, yeah, I've been there, and it's been around me. I'm fun time.
Frankie walks good, he talks good, looks good, makes love good, dress good and smells good. Why can't he just choose me?
I'm fun time.
Frankie.
I'm known by the cops. I don't shout it a lot. Say this is from trouble, but trouble is here. It's Glasgow me, knows no fear. Anyway, girls, I've got to go. It's disco time, Frankie show. The night is young and I'm full of candy.
Is that fun time, Frankie?
It's fun time.
Frankie.